we have more
series that we're
fries.
running,
Speaking
and
of doing
many
it
other
live.
things around the debate that are going. And probably the thing we're the most proud of is the partnership with the Clark County School District. Our nationally ranked debate team is working with the debate teams throughout all the schools, and they've been watching
It's like
the
Mexican.
debates live.
That's
and
Mexican?
Mexican.
Were they made by rapists and murderers?
Yes.
An essay contest
Obviously.
about the debate. So it's been a thrill to be able to participate.
There's one in there. Don't let it go to waste. Come on, man.
Thank you, Lynn.
Oh my god. No, it's yours, man.
On behalf of our hotel resort partners, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight at this debate, and for those who
Dual
traveled to
Has.
Las Vegas, welcome.
Let me see
I'm
what
sure
Has
it's
is
a
there.
very exciting time.
Is the Infinite
We're
Warfare
also
beta still
proud to
going on?
partner with
No,
UNLV to be able to host this debate. It's very
Alright,
important for the
pre-order.
university.
I don't trust any
and for our
timer
community. I
during
grew
the whole
up in Las
debate. Like
Vegas,
the one
and I've
that
never
leads
seen
up
this
to
much
the actual
excitement
debate.
in this
Like, you know, when that hits
in
zero,
our
there's gonna be like
community,
another
both
5
on the
minutes.
Oh, yeah,
resort
yeah,
quarters
it's
and
always
in our
off.
community
I don't
itself.
trust
So
it.
It's definitely
thank
not
you
a
for all
not a
of that.
trustworthy
Las
thing.
Vegas is the only city that evolved to host people. We've been doing that for many, many years, and we continue to refine what we do and go to the next level.
Countdowns are such
Last
like
year we attracted more than
like, that's so
42 million
unnecessary.
visitors. We generated $50 billion of economic
Like, we'll obviously
Las
know when the
Vegas
debate started.
Yeah.
336,000 jobs. So that's very
That's just like a
important for the
default
health
way to
of
like
our city,
make
the
something
state, and
the
also
hype
the
for something
country.
just skyrocket.
And
We should have our
special
own
events,
countdown.
we
Yeah,
are
we
the
should put a
special events
countdown to our
capital of the
lives.
world. And we have had all types of events here: NASCAR races, championship races, championship fights. We've had the NBA All-Star Game here.
You got it.
But nothing matches what this debate is all about. The special event and the importance of this,
What's
because
this
we're
guy's
here
name,
today
Pat?
and here tonight to select
Does he have a
the
name?
leader of the
Is it
free
a he
world,
or she?
the next president
Oh, I
of
don't
the
know.
United States. So we're very
Well, we
happy
should
to be
name
part
him.
of that.
Name him.
People say
Can't
you
go
can't
through
get
life
business
without a
done in
name.
Las Vegas. I disagree with them.
He's already
This
went through
shows
so
that
much life without a
serious
name, though.
business
Like,
gets
I think
done
it
in
would
Las
freak
Vegas.
him out if we gave him the
I
name
invite you to
now.
come back
Xander.
again as a visitor.
He doesn't
have
look
a
like
great
Xander
time,
at
have
all.
a great debate night,
All right,
and thank you very
Julio.
much.
He looks more like a Julio. How do you know it's a boy?
Doesn't have titties.
How do you know it's not a prepubescent woman?
Well, then I feel awkward
The
holding her
commission
like
is
that.
very
Yeah, me too.
grateful
Put her down
to
some,
have Chris
actually.
Wallace, anchor of Fox
There we
News
go.
Sunday,
All
as
right,
the
so,
moderator of this evening's
recap.
debate.
Previously on election 2016.
Are we live?
Yeah, we've been live for like the past 5 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Good evening.
So,
guys.
Welcome back.
Let me be the last
previously,
person to
Trump
welcome
totally
you
won
to
both
tonight's
debates,
debate, and also the last
but the
person
polls
to
were rigged,
lecture you
so
why it's
all
so
the news
important
media
for
was
you to
reporting
be
the
quiet.
opposite.
Let me,
But you guys
as
know
a
better.
show of
We all know
hands, how
better.
many of you
Obviously.
So,
have been to a general
that's Chris Wallace. He's the
election
moderator.
debate
He's from
between
Fox
the two
News. He's going to ask cool
presidential
questions,
nominees?
not like those shrills at CNN and MSNBC.
Okay, so you know the drill, and those of you who don't,
And basically,
I'm gonna
Trump's
repeat
big
the
strategy
drill.
today,
It's
he's
really
going full on
important.
Trump.
I know in some of the
Okay.
prior
Everybody's
debates,
like,
I
I was talking to Joe about this earlier. So all the pundits strategies are like, you know what? Trump's just giving red meat to his base. He's not saying anything that expands his base. He's just saying stuff. He's preaching to the choir. You know, he's not saying anything that would entice anyone who didn't support him previously to support him now. So they're like, well, he can't win with the amount of supporters he has now. So what's his plan? His plan? Rigged elections. He's
He's gonna go down the rigged election line.
doubling down. He's going to quadruple down on the rigged election thing because he's going to put Hillary supporters in such a false sense of security that there's no way she could lose that they're not even going to bother to show up at the polls.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But you just told me.
Whoa, that's bold.
no, but everybody here's a Trump supporter, right? So it doesn't matter.
We're going to see, you're going to hear in the background the platforms, all the networks beginning.
How do you know that won't
to do their
backfire on
coverage.
him?
30
Like, he'll start to
seconds
blame the
before
polls so
I'll give you
much that all
notice
Trump
that we're
supporters
gonna
would just be like, well, fuck,
We'll
like,
introduce the
he's gonna lose
candidates.
anyway, why should I even bother
Then,
going?
at the end of the debate, you're
Like, I
gonna
feel like, you know,
vote
there's
all
kind of
you
a-
want, but in
I feel like
meantime,
the way he's making it, though,
silence,
all the
please,
Trump voters are
Because
gonna
if he
have to go
loses-
out, you know what I mean?
If he loses, then he has an entire base of disenfranchised voters that feel like the system's rigged against them. And then he creates Trump TV, where he propagates his own network to expand his base in this 2020 election.
And I have to point out that his family already seated, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not going to see the family
What?
shake hands.
Oh, hey, Eldawah.
Oh, he just said they're not gonna be shaking hands.
Each of these candidates
Oh my God,
has
you
to
serious?
make their
Yeah.
case to
That
as
was a
large
huge
an
thing.
audience, as
Holy
they are,
shit.
Why was that a huge
tonight,
thing?
unfiltered with
First
none of
debate?
us
Yeah.
They shake hands. Second debate, candidates don't shake hands. Family shakes hands. Third debate, family, nothing. Candidates, nothing. There's no more love lost.
Are they allowed to look at each other?
No.
Wow. No eye contact.
I'm gonna put a barrier.
Fit to be president, and Hillary
Just an
Clinton has a
invisible
challenge
wall.
as well.
Absolutely.
She needs to. I'm sure Chris Wallace
So basically, the
is gonna ask her
report is that
questions
Trump's
about
going to go
the
full
WikiLeaks that have
retard in
come
this
out,
debate.
those emails
He's going to
that
go
the
straight up
FBI notes
Steve
that were
Bannon.
posted
You never
earlier
go
this
full
week.
Just
retard.
absolutely
Controversy
fucking
there.
hammer
Is he going to
Hillary
be able
with
to answer
just
those
complete
questions in a
nonsense the
credible
entire
way,
night.
that doesn't
Just
feed
fucking
into
just
the
like
lack
shove her
of
into the
trust,
ground
a
and
lot
just
of
hold her there
Americans
for like
have
90
in
minutes.
her capabilities.
Like,
So it's
there's
a
no
tall order
going
for
wrong.
both candidates, and
So it's easily going to be
really
sweep.
not
Trump
gonna
wins all the
We're really
debates.
watching to see if Donald Trump takes the
3 for
high
3.
road or takes the low road.
He's already
Or
won.
someplace in the middle.
All the
Hillary Clinton
online
has
polls.
shown in the
Well, then,
first two
he's
debates
gonna
that
win,
she
obviously.
is very, very disciplined. She's not only practiced,
Hey,
but
some
she
two-bit
has
guy, what's up? Ayo.
executed what she has practiced.
Ayo.
Almost
Oh
to
wait,
a
Cam.
T.
Ayo.
Donald Trump has not. At least this time around, our understanding is that he has
Oh my God.
practiced in a more traditional way. But even though he
Nothing,
has
I just had
done
to eat that really fast.
people close to him
All right.
don't
You
know
didn't
if
have to
he's
eat it
going
really
to actually
fast.
I
be
did.
that
There's still a
disciplined
third one.
candidate
I mean, a
because
fourth one.
discipline
I mean,
and
a
Donald
fifth one.
Trump generally
No.
don't go hand in hand. Even Donald Trump is one to say that. So it is still a very open question how he is actually going to handle himself once he gets on the
All right,
debate
time to
stage.
monitor.
Just want to
Time to
point out the
maintenance.
obvious, they didn't introduce the family.
All right.
Yeah, I was all dressed up nice today. I was like,
should
should I stay up dressed up
for the debate? And I was like, nah. I gotta be comfortable for this massacre.
And the reason that
Oh, do you guys see?
Bill Clinton and
Do you guys see
Melania
the
Trump are not
new
going
name
to
reveal from the
meet
new
in
Red
the
Dead?
middle and
Yeah.
shake
No, what is
hands
it?
because
Red
Red Dead
Clinton
Redemption
campaign
2.
was
Whoa! That's good. How'd they think of that?
I was so disappointed. I really wanted Red Dead Revengeance.
in the debate.
Yeah, I wanted Red Dead
and They said
blank.
that that's the tack he's going to take.
Red Dead
We don't want any
retarded.
part of it. And that feeds into the question: is Donald Trump going to go down that road?
I hope they go into
which
Red
will
Dead.
no doubt
Is this
rile
Joe
up
without a
base,
shirt,
excite
or is his shirt
supporters,
skin
but
color?
does nothing
Nah,
Joe without a
over
shirt.
No shirt.
moderates and independents
I wonder. Wait, let me look at
And the
that. I
question
want
of
to
whether
see.
they're going to shake hands might
Yeah,
sound
no
like
shirt today.
optics
Yeah, this is
or
a
just
no shirt
theatrics,
live stream.
But it's
Only
important
for
in
Joe.
that it sets the tone for the 90 minutes. And that's why we're going to be
Moments
looking
away
very
from
closely to
Clinton
see what
Trump
happens
debate
in the next few
on
seconds,
CNN.
whether or not they come on and they have that
is
kind of
nerve-wracking.
Clinton News Network.
cordial moment that they had in the first debate.
The third and final presidential debate is about to begin. They are about to be introduced, the two presidential candidates.
Where's the
They
timer?
will walk out.
It happened already.
I know.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's so easier ways you
Good
could do
evening
that.
from the Thomas and Mack Center at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Also, I'm gonna eat
I'm
that
Chris
tortilla if no one
Wallace
else
of
wants it.
Fox News. And I
Cheers, man,
welcome
you
you
bought
to
it.
the
Do you wanna
third
split it?
and final
I mean,
of
if
the
you're offering it. I don't
think I can eat the whole
presidential
thing.
debates between Secretary of State Hillary Clinton
Is there any way we can
Donald
lie
J.
to this?
Trump.
Or
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
debate is sponsored by the Commission on
With the
Presidential
remote.
Debates.
No,
The
that's
Commission
fine.
has
There it is.
designed the format. 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers to the first question, then
delay this a
open
little bit.
discussion for the rest of
It
each
reminds me of the
section.
reporter from
Both
like
campaigns
Willy
have
Wonka
agreed
and the
to
Chalk
those
Factory.
rules.
Oh no,
Yeah, doesn't
Charlie and the
I
Chalk
decided
Factory.
the
I'm sorry.
topics
Doesn't he look like someone that would like
each
sit on a
topic.
big leather
None of
chair and
those
smoke a pipe?
questions has been
Yes.
shared with the
And, like, talk to his
commission or the
son?
two candidates.
Yes.
The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers,
Yeah, right.
boos, or other
Okay.
interruptions, so we and you
Good
can
luck with that.
focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now.
Except.
We welcome the Democratic nominee for president, Secretary Clinton, and the Republican nominee for president, Mr. Trump.
Mr. Trump. Not even Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump, we love
Oh my God.
Oh my God, she
Ugh.
goes full white.
Ugh.
Wow.
And he
That
goes
stud.
red power tie.
Oh God.
God.
Is she in
Holy
a
fuck.
another
No.
freaking suit?
No
God,
fucking
does she
handshake.
own any other clothes?
No.
Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump, welcome.
1,
Let's get
2,
right to it. The first
3.
topic is the Supreme Court. You both spoke briefly about the court in the last debate, but I want to drill down on this because the next president will almost certainly have at least one appointment and likely or possibly 2 or 3 appointments, which means that you will, in effect, determine the balance of the court for what could be the next quarter century. First of all, where do you want to see the court take the
Supreme
country?
Court.
And secondly, what's your view on how the Constitution should be interpreted? Is do the founders' words mean what they
What a
say,
question to
or
start
is it
off,
a
Jesus
living
Christ.
document to be applied
I miss like having that question.
Me too,
according to
but
changing
it sounds great.
circumstances? In this segment, Secretary Clinton, you go first. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thanks to UNLV for hosting us. You know, I think when we talk about the Supreme Court,
All right,
it really
first mic touch.
raises the central
Justine's
issue
mic.
in this
Wrong. Oh shit.
election. Namely, what kind of country
nope,
are we?
nope.
You know what I'm looking out for?
What kind
I
of
heard this
opportunities
thing on the news station on the radio, on the FM radio, about how bullshit of a line. What a great question is. Like, people usually just do that to, like, stall for time and flatter the person that asked the question.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like any, yeah, I feel like.
Whenever I say that, it's actually because it's like, oh, wow, that's a good question.
You say that a lot?
No, not really.
It's like when you say, like,
Yeah.
it gives you time to think, you know what I mean?
So I'm going to keep an eye out for that. An
that
ear
will
out.
stand up and say no to Citizens United, a decision that
Second
has
mic touch.
undermined the
It's not right.
election system.
It's
in
a
our
rigged
country
mic, everybody.
I can't
because of the
believe
way it
they gave me a
permits
second
dark,
broken
unaccountable
microphone.
money to come into our electoral system. I have major disagreements with my opponent about these issues and others that will
One,
be before the
two,
Supreme Court.
3.
But I feel that at this point in our country's history, it is
All right, we're on
important
minute
that
5 of
we
2.
not reverse marriage equality, that we not reverse Roe v. Wade, that we stand up against Citizens United, we stand up for the rights of people in the workplace, that we stand up and basically say the Supreme Court should represent all of us.
Yep.
That's how I see the court, and the kind of people that I would be looking to nominate to the court would be in the great tradition
went the
of
exact
standing up
opposite
to
way.
the powerful, standing up
He's ready
on
to go. He
behalf
wants to
of
talk.
our rights as Americans.
Does her hair look
And I
especially
look
shiny
forward to
today?
having
Yeah,
that
she's dying.
Like, does it-
opportunity. I would hope the Senate
Doesn't it
would
look
do
like a
its
Lego
job
hairpiece or something?
and confirm the nominee that President Obama has sent to them. That's the way the Constitution fundamentally should operate.
Nah.
The President nominates,
Wrong.
and then the Senate advises and consents or not, but they go
1,
forward
2,
with the process.
3.
Secretary Clinton, thank you. Mr. Trump, same question. Where do you want to see the court take the country, and how do you believe the Constitution should be interpreted?
Well, first of all, it's great to be with you, and thank you, everybody. The Supreme Court, it's what it's all about. Our country is it's just so imperative that we have the right justices. Something happened recently where Justice Ginsburg made some
What do you think she's drawing a picture of?
statements
What she
toward
thinks
me and toward
Trump's
a
penis looks like.
tremendous number of people, many, many millions of people. that I
Wrong TM. Oh, we got to read the comments too.
And she was
Oh, yo!
Sponsored by Red Dead Redemption 2
apologize,
TM.
she did.
Back.
But these were
Why does he always go
statements that
first
should
in every single
never
debate?
have been
Because
made.
it's rigged, dude. You know it. We all know it here. It's rigged.
Everything is rigged. That bus rigged. Billy Bush.
I believe if
1,
my opponent
2, 3.
should win this race, which I truly don't think will happen, we will have a Second Amendment, which will be a very, very small replica of what it is right now. But I feel that it's absolutely important that we uphold
Wish I had a
because
gun.
of the fact that it is
Get
under
one.
such trauma.
Pretty easy.
I feel that the justices that I
go
am
get
going
guns?
to appoint,
Yeah.
I've named
I would love to have a gun.
20 of them.
I definitely want one.
Let's do that.
Where's like the closest gun show?
We gotta get a
Be
permit
pro-life.
first.
They will have a
How you do
conservative
that?
bent.
I think you have to file for one. Probably the internet.
They are great scholars.
My uncle
in
did
all
it. I thought he was
cases,
joking.
they're people
And then he, like,
of
showed me, like, his,
tremendous respect.
Yeah,
They will interpret
it's definitely a lot
the
easier than.
Constitution the way
They both look and sound
Yeah.
tired. It's jet lag. I'll dull off.
Well, I mean, it's
And
9
believe
o'clock
that
and it's Las
very,
Vegas.
very
Their night
important.
started
I
at
don't
like
think
3
we should
o'clock.
have Justices appointed that decide what they want to hear. It's all about
Yeah, why are
the
they so late?
Constitution of
blow
it's
jobs.
so important.
Yeah, I know, but like
The
7.
Constitution,
I could-
the way
it's like
it was meant
7 o'clock,
to
maybe
be,
early.
and those are the people.
What?
that I
What time is it? It's only like a
3 hours?
6
Oh,
o'clock
it's
over
over
there.
Thank you. We now have about
Is it
6
2
hours
hours?
for
Six over there.
discussion. I
6
wanna
o'clock or 7 o'clock?
Focus on
No,
two
6 or 7.
issues that, in fact, by the
There's no
justices
time difference
that
from
you
California
named
to Nevada?
could end
I
up
have no idea.
changing the
I
existing
don't know where
law of the
what
land.
line
First
you cross
is one that
to
you
go an
mentioned,
hour
Mr.
into the
Trump, and that
future.
is guns.
Ask
Secretary
one of them to
Clinton,
do it.
you said
Some
last
2
clear,
bit
let me
guy.
quote, the Supreme Court is wrong
It's exhausting being a
on the
living
Second
meme.
Amendment. And now, in fact, in the 2008 Heller case, the court ruled that there is a constitutional right to bear arms, but
Hey, one more for us.
a right that is reasonably limited.
Yeah.
Those were the words of the judge, Antonin Scalia, who wrote the decision. What's wrong with that?
Well, first of all, I support the Second Amendment. I lived in Arkansas for 18 wonderful years. I represented upstate New York. I understand
Only
and
upstate New York.
respect the tradition of gun ownership. It goes back to the founding of our country. But I also believe that there can be and must be reasonable regulation. Because I support the Second Amendment doesn't mean that I want people who shouldn't have guns to be able to threaten you, kill
Which one do you think is gonna
you
pull
or
out a
members
gun?
of your family.
Trump's
And so
definitely
when I
loaded on
think
these
about
sets.
what
Trench
we
coat.
need to
Trench
do,
coat.
we have 33,000 people
Like
a
your
year
emails?
who die
Oh!
from guns. I think we need comprehensive background checks.
No, just like your
We can
emails.
close the online
Just
loophole,
interrupts.
close the
He's probably
gun
thinking, he
show
heard that number,
loophole.
he's probably
There's
like,
other matters
He doesn't even.
that I
He looks like
think
he's on
are
another planet right now.
sensible.
yeah,
Dude,
right?
The
These
last
are
debate,
reforms that
the
we
last
make
debate, he was like
difference
Max
that are not
Payne. He was like the
in
man.
any
He was like a man
way
pushed over the edge.
conflicting
Like he
with the
got
Second
his
Amendment.
debate
You
prep was
mentioned
getting
the Heller
hammered at a
decision, and
bar,
what I was
then like
saying,
waking up from a
that
hangover,
you
and then just going to the
referenced,
debate.
was that I
He was just like the
disagreed
ultimate
with
fuck
the way
this.
the court applied the
This
Second
one, he's like,
Amendment in that
I'm just
case.
waiting for it to
He took
come
3
out.
Xanax
What the
beforehand.
District of Columbia was trying to do was to
Thank you.
protect toddlers from guns, and so they wanted people with guns to safely store
She
them.
arming toddlers?
And the
Is that what
court
she said?
2 minutes?
Didn't
These
accept
are
that reasonable
not 2
regulation,
minutes.
but they've accepted
Rigged.
many others. So I see no conflict
Rigged.
between saving people's lives and defending the Second Amendment.
Let me bring Mr. Trump in here.
Well-
The bipartisan open
We're still only on 2 mic
debate
touches, right?
coalition
Yeah.
got
counted the
millions
third
of
one.
votes
That
on
was the third
questions
one?
to ask here,
Think.
and this was, in fact, one of the top questions
I also want
that
to
they got.
count how many times he
How
says
will
the
you
number.
ensure the
I
Second
love when he says
Amendment is
numbers.
protected?
Stats,
You
like
just
random
heard
stats.
Secretary Clinton's answer. Does she persuade you that while you may disagree on regulation, that in fact she supports a Second Amendment right to bear arms?
Well, the D.C. versus Heller decision was very strongly, and she was extremely angry about it. I watched. I mean, she was very,
has a lot of
very
hate in her
angry
heart.
when upheld. And Justice Scalia was so involved, and it was a well-crafted decision. But Hillary was extremely upset, extremely angry, and people that believe in the Second Amendment and believe in it
What's up
very
with his
strongly
eyebrows?
were very upset with what she had to say.
Well, let me bring in Secretary Clinton. Were you extremely upset?
Well, I was upset because, unfortunately,
first laugh,
dozens
by
of
the way.
toddlers injure themselves, even kill people with
You already brought
guns
up the
because,
toddlers.
unfortunately, not everyone.
Is she arming toddlers?
Yeah,
I think at this
voted
point
If a
she is.
toddler wants to be able to get a gun,
appropriate
yeah, let 'em.
precautions.
It's freedom.
But there's no doubt
That's 3,
that I
4.
respect the Second Amendment, that I also believe there's an individual right to bear arms. That is not in conflict with sensible, common sense regulation. And, you know, look, I understand that Donald's been strongly
Arm your
supported by
toddler.
the NRA. The gun lobby's on his side. They're running millions of dollars of ads against me.
under the skin,
And I
under
regret
the
that,
skin.
because what I would like to see is for people
all
to come
of the
together
ads
and
that you
say,
have against
of
him.
course, we're going to protect and defend the
Right.
Second Amendment, but we're going to do it in a way that tries to save some of these 33,000 lives that we lose every year.
Let me bring Mr. Trump back into this because,
You
in
know what?
fact, you
We can afford to lose
oppose
33,000
any
people.
limits on.
We could afford to lose a
weak.
lot more than
Yeah,
that.
come on.
Yeah.
You know
You
what?
should be,
If they were strong,
Population
they'd be
control.
able to survive.
Population control. Give your toddlers
Well, let me just tell
guns.
you,
It's
before
the only way.
we
Yeah.
go
Character
to
building, it's
Chicago,
character building.
which has the toughest gun laws in the United States.
It's not like they're fully
Probably you
automatic.
could say by far.
You can give your
They have more gun
fully
violence
automatic.
than
No,
any
the
other
toddlers
state.
probably wouldn't be able to
So
carry
we
them.
have
They'd
to
probably have to
just accept that we
manufacture
have tremendous gun
guns for
violence.
toddlers.
I am a very
Tiny.
strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I don't know
Guns for
whether you're
tykes.
saying it in a sarcastic manner, but I'm very proud to have the
My
endorsement
first rifle.
of the NRA, and it's the earliest endorsement they've ever given to anybody who ran for president. So I'm very honored by all of that. We are going to appoint justices. This is the best way to help the Second Amendment. We are going to appoint justices that will feel very strongly about the Second Amendment, that will not do damage to the Second
Yeah.
Amendment.
Well, let's
You
pick
know what?
up
He's
on
kinda just
another
getting to the
issue
point in this
which
one so far.
divides you and the
He's like,
justice
It's coming.
is that
It will come.
whoever ends
This is
up
what
winning
happened.
election
This is what
appoints
happened the first
will
debate.
have a
First 20
dramatic
minutes,
effect down
very on
there,
point.
and that's the issue of abortion. Mr. Trump, you
Nobody's really in control yet,
pro-life.
though.
But I want to ask you specifically, do you want the court, including the justices that you will name, to overturn Roe v. Wade, which includes, in fact states, a woman's right to abortion?
Well, if that would happen, because I am pro-life and I will be appointing pro-life judges, I would think that that will go back to the individual states.
But I'm asking you specifically, would you like
If they overturned it, it'll go back to the states.
But what I'm asking you, sir, is do you want to see the court overturn? You just said you want to see the court protect the Second Amendment. Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am
his eyebrows just go higher and higher.
Justices on the court.
By the end of the debate, they'll be gone.
They're going to crawl into his hair.
Will then make a determination.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, I strongly support Roe v. Wade, which guarantees a constitutional right to a woman to make the most intimate, most difficult in many cases decisions about her health care that one can imagine. And in this
So you can
case,
kill
it's
those
not only about
babies,
Roe v.
but
Wade.
33,000
It is
people
about
would
what's
come as a
happening
problem.
right now in America.
No, they're not
many
killing
states
babies. The
are
babies are
putting
killing other people.
very
But the problem is she's
stringent
killing the babies
regulations
before
on
they
women
can
that block them
kill the people.
from exercising that choice, to the extent that they are defunding Planned Parenthood, which of course
You
provides all
lost me.
kinds
I
of
thought she was talking
screenings
about
and other
babies
benefits
before they
for,
came out.
She's fine with
women in our
abortion.
country.
She's fine with abortion.
So if
Donald
you're
has
killing
said
those
he's in
babies,
favor
they
of
can't
defunding
pull fully
Planned
automatic
Parenthood,
guns.
even
That's the best way to
supporting
defend them.
Not yet.
Planned Parenthood. I will defend Planned Parenthood. I will defend Roe v. Wade, and I will defend women's
5
right
times
to
fast.
make their own.
I will defend Roe v. Wade. I will defend Roe v. Wade. I will defend Roe v. Wade. I will
Too
defend
far
Roe v. Wade. I will
to have
defend
that
Roe v.
turned
Wade.
back now.
I like that. Roe v.
Indeed,
Roe
he
v.
said
Wade.
women
Roe v.
should
Wade.
be punished,
said it
that
wrong.
there
Do
should
it
be
again.
some
Roe
form
v. Roe
of
v.
punishment
Roe v. Wade.
for
Roe v.
women
Toy boats, toy
who
boats, toy boats, toy
obtain
boats, toy
abortions,
boats,
and
toy
I could
boats, toy
just
boats, toy
not
boats,
be
toy
more
boats, toy
opposed
boats.
Do the
to
one
that
smart fellow
thinking.
one.
I'm going to give you
One
a
smart
chance to
fellow, he
respond, but I
felt
want to
smart,
ask you,
two-part.
Secretary Clinton, how far do you believe the right to abortion goes?
Mr.
You
Trump,
have been
repeat-
quoted as
he's
saying
he's like doing like full maintenance now. It like starts with a
Mike's
mic
off.
check, and then he brings out a toolkit halfway through the debate. And he's
He's gonna like go up to the amp and like.
abortions. Why?
topic,
Because
abortion.
Roe v. Wade very clearly sets out that there can be regulations on abortion so long as the life and the health of the mother are taken into account. And when I voted as a senator, I did not think that that was the case. The kinds of cases that fall at the end of pregnancy are often the most heartbreaking, painful decisions for families to make. I have met with women who, toward the end of their pregnancy, get the worst news one could
that
get,
white,
that their
or is that
health
like a
is in
10
jeopardy if
beige
they
kinda?
continue to carry
That's like
to
off-white.
term,
It's like
or
off-
that something terrible has happened or just been discovered about the pregnancy. I do not think the United States government should be stepping in and making those most personal of decisions. So you can regulate if you are doing so with the life and the health of the mother taken into account.
Mr. Trump, your reaction, and particularly on this issue of late-term partial birth
Well, I
abortion.
think it's terrible. If
Oh,
you
partial
go
birth
with what
abortion is
Hillary's
fuck you up.
saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month. On the final day. It's
murder.
And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases, and using that kind of scare rhetoric is just terribly unfortunate. You should meet with some of the women that I've met with, women I've known over the course of my life. This is one of the worst possible choices that any woman and her family has to make. And I do not believe the government should be making it. You know, I've had the great honor of traveling across the world on behalf of our country.
I've had 15 abortions.
Where governments either forced women to have
I have
abortions
personally
like they used to do in
aborted.
China, or forced women to bear children like they used to do in Romania. And I can tell you the government has no business in the decisions that women make with their families in accordance with their faith, with medical advice, and I will stand up for that right.
All right, but just briefly, I want to move on to another
Honestly,
segment.
nobody has business doing what I just said, doing that. as late as 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days prior to birth. Nobody has that.
All right, let's move on to the subject of immigration. And
This is so
there
far.
is almost no
I don't know
issue
who.
that
I don't know who's
separates
got the
more than the issue of
handball
immigration.
here.
Actually, there are a lot of
Who's
issues
leading the
that
top?
separate
She's
the two of
talking
you.
a lot more than he
Mr.
is.
Trump,
She has more
you want
teeth.
to build a wall,
Right.
Secretary
At least that I
Clinton.
can see
You have
right now.
offered no specific plan for how you want to secure
wall.
our
Yes.
southern border. Mr. Trump,
This is a
you
hot
are
one.
calling for major deportations. Secretary Clinton, you say that within your first 100 days as president, you're going to offer a package that includes a pathway to citizenship. The question really is, why are you right and your opponent wrong? Mr. Trump, you go first in this segment. You have 2 minutes.
Let's
Well,
go.
first of all, she
Number
wants to
4.
give amnesty, which is a disaster.
five.
And very
That's
unfair
5.
to all of the people that are waiting in line for many, many years. We need strong borders. In the audience tonight, we have 4
Is he still doing the wall
mothers
thing?
I mean, these
Still
are
doing the wall thing?
unbelievable people that I've gotten to know over a period of years, whose children have been killed, brutally killed by people that came into the country illegally. You have thousands of mothers and fathers and relatives all over the country. They're coming in illegally. Drugs
3.
are pouring in through the border. We have no country if we have no border. Hillary wants to give amnesty. She wants to have open borders. The border secure, as you know, the Border Patrol agents, 16,500 plus ICE last week endorsed me.
That was a
First
good
time
one.
they've ever endorsed a candidate. It means their job is tougher, but they know what's going on. They know it better than anybody. They want strong borders. They feel we have to have strong borders. I was up in New Hampshire the other day. The biggest complaint they have, it's with all of the problems going on in the world, many of the problems caused by Hillary Clinton and by Barack Obama, all of the problems, their single biggest problem is heroin that pours across our southern borders, just pouring and destroying their youth. It's
Wait, New
poisoning
Hampshire?
the blood of their youth
Canada.
and plenty of other people.
We have immigrants
We
from
have
Canada
to have strong
guess.
borders.
bringing in heroin.
We have to
Heroin
keep
addicts.
the drugs
Really?
out of
Is
our
that where our
country.
heroin
We are-
comes?
Right now, we're
Yes.
getting the
I thought our
drugs, they're
heroin
getting
came
the
from
cash.
like
We
Mexicans.
need strong borders.
Mexicans aren't the only
We need
murderers and rapists.
absolute. We cannot give amnesty.
It's the
Now,
Canadians.
I want to build the wall.
Canadians have
The Border Patrol,
3.
ICE, they all want the wall. We stop the drugs. We shore up the border. One of my first acts will be to get all of the drug lords, all of the bad ones. We have some bad.
Is there a
bad
list of
people
drug lords?
in this
Yeah,
country that
yeah,
have
we
to go
kinda just
out.
leave it on a
We're gonna
desk and
get
try
them
not to
out.
think
We're going
about
to
it.
secure the border, and once the border is secured, at a later date, we'll make a determination as to the rest. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
Mr. Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Secretary Clinton.
Why?
Basically, why are you
Bad
right?
hombres.
Mr. Trump is wrong.
Hombres.
Well, as he was talking, I was thinking about a young girl I met here in Las
Who is
Vegas,
Mexican
Carla,
and likes me?
who was very worried
And
that
very
her
Mexican.
parents
Her name's
might
Juliet.
be deported because she was born in this country, but they were not. They work hard. They do everything they can to give her a good life. And you're right. I don't want to rip families apart. I don't want to be sending parents away from children. I don't want to see the deportation force that Donald has talked about in action in our country. We have 11 million undocumented people. They have 4 million American citizen children, 15 million people. He said as recently as a few weeks ago in Phoenix that every undocumented person would be subject to deportation. Now, here's what that means.
Population control.
It means you would have to have
We're gonna have
a
no one left in the
massive
country by the
law
time.
Fine.
enforcement presence.
More room for
where
us.
law
We'll be
enforcement
fine.
officers would
Yes.
be going school to school, home to home, business to business, rounding up people who
What
are
about camps?
undocumented. And we would then have to put them on trains, on buses to get them out of our country. I think that
One,
is
2,
an
3.
idea that is not in keeping with who we are as a nation. I think it's an idea that would rip our country apart. I have been for border security for
Maybe for a
years.
month.
I voted for border security in the United States Senate. And my comprehensive immigration reform plan, of course, includes border security. But I want to put our resources where I think they're most needed. Getting rid
Do you think that's the
of
same tie
any
he wore last
violent
time?
person, anybody who should be deported, we should deport them. When
do you
it
think
comes
he has
to the
more than
wall
one
that
solid
Donald
red
talks
tie?
about building, he
I
went to
think he
Mexico.
burns
We
them
had a
after
meeting
each
with the
debate, so
Mexican
it's definitely brand
president.
new.
Didn't even raise
He just
it.
opened it
choked.
before he went on stage.
And then got into a Twitter war because the Mexican
I can't
president
debate
said we're
without
not
that
paying
fresh
for that
tie
wall.
smell.
Twitter
So
war.
I think we are both a nation of
the
immigrants
only war
and
we
we
can
are a
afford to
nation
have.
of laws, and that we
the worst
can
kind of
One,
war.
act
2,
accordingly.
3.
And that's why I'm introducing comprehensive immigration reform within the first 100 days with a path to citizenship.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton. I want to follow
Chris,
up.
I think I
Okay.
should respond to them. First of all, I had a very good meeting with the president of Mexico. Very nice man.
Why?
We will be doing very much better with Mexico on trade deals, believe me. The NAFTA deal signed by her husband's one of the worst deals ever made of any kind, signed by anybody.
Ever.
It's a disaster. Hillary Clinton wanted the wall. Hillary Clinton fought for the wall.
She wanted the Clinton wall.
In 2006 or thereabouts. Now, she never gets anything done, so naturally the wall wasn't built. We are a country of laws. And by the way,
no, wait, I'd like to hear from. I'd like to hear from Secretary Clinton.
I voted for border security, and there are some limited places where that was appropriate. There also is necessarily going to be new technology and how best to deploy that. But it is clear when you look at what Donald has been proposing. He started his campaign bashing immigrants, calling Mexican immigrants rapists and criminals and drug dealers. He has a very different view about what we should do to deal with immigrants. Now, what I am also arguing is that bringing undocumented immigrants out from the shadows, putting them into the formal economy will be good, because then employers can't exploit them and undercut Americans' wages. And Donald knows a lot about this. He used undocumented labor to build the Trump Tower. He underpaid undocumented workers, and when they complained, he basically said what a lot of employers do. You complain, I'll get you deported. I want to get everybody out of the shadows, get the economy working, and not let employers like Donald exploit undocumented workers, which hurts them, but also hurts American workers.
Thank you.
President Obama has moved millions of people out. Nobody knows about it. Nobody talks about it. But
President
under
Obama's
Obama,
half-brother,
millions
Malay,
of people have been moved out of this country. They've been deported. She doesn't want to say that.
Really?
But that's what's happened.
That's weird.
And that's what's happened in Big League. As far as moving these people out and moving, we either have a country or we don't. We're a country of laws. We either have a border or we don't. Now, you can come back in and you can become a citizen. But it's very unfair. We have millions of people that did it the right way. They're online. They're waiting. We're going to speed up the process, Big League, because it's very inefficient.
Big League?
But they're online and they're waiting to become citizens. Very unfair that somebody runs across the border, becomes a citizen. Under her plan, you have open borders. You would have a disaster on trade, and you will have a disaster with your open borders. But what she doesn't say is that President Obama
he just cut them both off with one finger point.
Of people just the way.
That's magic.
Wow. We will not have open borders. That is a rank mischaracterization. We will have secure borders.
He's lost them.
We also have reform.
Kids, please.
And this used to be a bipartisan issue. Ronald Reagan was the last president to sign immigration reform, and George W. Bush supported it
Chris
as
Wallace.
well.
Secretary Clinton, I want to clear up your position on this issue because
and the
in a
WikiLeaks
speech
says
you gave to a Brazilian bank for which you were paid $225,000, we've learned from the WikiLeaks that you said this, and I want to quote.
It's a hack by Russia. It's Russia pivot.
With open trade
She's supporting
and open
Russia.
So,
don't ignore everything I said in the emails.
That's the question. Please quiet everybody. Is that your dream, open borders?
Well, if you went on to read the rest of the sentence, I was talking about energy. You know, we trade more energy with our neighbors than we trade with the rest of the world combined.
Trump says
and I do want us to have an electric grid, an energy system that crosses borders. I think that would be a great benefit to us. But you are very clearly quoting from WikiLeaks, and what's really important about WikiLeaks is that the Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans. They have hacked American websites, American accounts of private people, of institutions. Then they have given that information to
rapists, they're murderers,
for the purpose of putting it on the internet. This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election. So I actually think the most important question of this evening, Chris, is finally, will Donald Trump admit and condemn that the Russians are doing this and make it clear that he will not have the help of Putin in this election, that he rejects Russian espionage against Americans, which he actually encouraged in the past. Those are the questions
I'm glad
we
it's a
need
thing.
answered. We've never had anything like this happen in any of our elections before.
That was a great pivot off the fact that she wants open borders, okay? How did we get onto Putin?
It's the best.
Hold on.
No.
Wait. Hold on, folks. Because this is going to end up getting out of control. Let's
Oh.
try to keep it
Oh, come on.
He's
What a,
chastising the audience.
what a
candidates and the
buzzkill.
American people. Go
So
ahead.
just to finish on the borders,
Yes.
she wants open borders. People are going to pour into our country. People are going to come in from Syria.
7?
They're gonna come in from the ocean.
That's 9, I think.
The water people, Atlanteans,
crab people,
Martians.
We're
gonna secure our atmosphere.
We need to build a dome.
She won't even mention the words, and neither will President Obama. So I just want to tell you, she wants open borders. Now we can talk about Putin. I don't know Putin. He said nice things about me. If we got along well, that would be good. If Russia and the United States got along well and went after ISIS, that would be good. He has no respect for her. He has no respect for our president. And I'll tell you what, we're in very serious trouble because we have a country with tremendous numbers of nuclear warheads, 1,800, by the way, where they expanded and
That was
we
a good
didn't.
number.
She wrote it
1,800
down.
nuclear warheads, and she's playing chicken. Look, Putin,
wait,
from
We're gonna
everything
totally
I
nuke
see,
'em.
has
We can out-nuke
no
Russia,
respect
guys.
For this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of
No
the United
puppet,
States.
no puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit.
No, you.
that the Russians have engaged in
You're a puppet.
cyber attacks against the United States of America.
You're a puppet.
That you
You're a towel.
encouraged espionage against our
Angrily drinks
people.
water.
That you are willing to spout a Putin line, sign up for
What's
his
going on? I
wish
thought you said
list,
10.
break up NATO, do whatever he wants to do.
Sharknado?
And that you continue to get
You're gonna let
help from
Sharknado
him
5 happen.
because he has a very clear favorite in this race. So I think that this is such an unprecedented situation. We've never had a foreign government trying to interfere in our election. We have 17 intelligence agencies, civilian
Why aren't
and
you writing her
military.
facts
who have
down, Trump?
all
He doesn't need to.
concluded
It goes in his mind.
that these
He doesn't know how to write. That's why he's so good with
espionage
numbers.
cyber attacks come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and they are designed to
Kremlin.
influence our election. I find that deeply disturbing,
Secretary
and
Clinton.
I think
How do you
it's
feel
time
about borders?
No
you
idea
take a
whether it's
stand,
Russia,
because
China, or anybody
I am
else.
not
It
talking
could be
about
a guy
I
in his
am
basement that weighs
quoting
400
no
pounds.
idea.
17 intelligence. Do you
This
doubt
is
why I
17
came here tonight.
Our
military
country has
and
no idea.
civilian agencies? Well,
Yeah, I
he'd
doubt
rather
it. I doubt
believe
it.
Vladimir Putin than the military and
That was a good
civilian
one. That lasted for
intelligence
like 20
professionals
seconds.
Who are sworn
And he's not
to protect
breaking
us.
it up.
I find that just absolutely
She doesn't
frightening.
like Putin because Putin has outsmarted her at every
Mr.
step
Trump,
of the way.
I-
Excuse me.
Mr.
Putin has
Mr.
outsmarted her in
Mr.
Syria.
Trump, I'm
He's
not a
outsmarted
plant
her
here. I
every
do get
step
to
of the way.
do get to ask some questions.
Yes,
and
that's
I would
fine.
like to ask you this direct question.
Oh, man.
The
Chris Wallace
top
is saying no
national
shit.
security officials of this
Oh, God.
country do believe that Russia has been behind these hacks. Even if you don't know for sure whether they are, do you condemn any interference by Russia in the American election?
By Russia or anybody else.
You condemn their interference.
Of course I condemn. Of course I can. I don't know Putin. I have no idea.
I'm asking
I
you,
never
do you
met
condemn?
Putin. This is not my best friend. But if the United States got along with Russia, wouldn't be so bad. Let me tell you, Putin has outsmarted her and Obama at every single step of the way. Whether it's Syria, no, you name it.
I might vote for
missiles.
Putin this year.
Can we?
Take
Me
a look
too.
at
Yeah.
the startup
Putin
that they
2016.
signed. The Russians have said, according to many, many reports, I can't believe they allowed us to do this. They create warheads and we can't. The Russians can't believe it. She has been outsmarted by Putin, and all you have to do is
Obama
look at the
too.
Middle East. They've taken over. We've spent $6 trillion. They've taken over the Middle East. She has been
Why didn't she write down $6
outsmarted
trillion?
and outplayed worse than
She knows
anybody
it's
I've
true.
ever seen
He's
in
like,
any
"Oh, all right."
government
Ah, that was a good one.
whatsoever.
Yeah, he
We're a
nailed
long
that
way
one.
away from immigration, but I'm going to let you finish this.
Immigration.
Well,
You got about
I-
45 seconds.
Yeah,
And she always will be.
I find it ironic that he's raising nuclear weapons. This is a person who has been very cavalier, even casual, about the use of nuclear weapons. He's advocated more Japan, Korea, even Saudi Arabia. He said, well, if we have them, why don't we use them? Which I think is terrifying. But here's the deal. The bottom
true. I
line
mean, it's just
on
a waste of
nuclear
space.
weapons is that when
Population
the president gives the
control.
order, It
Dude, if
must
you ran for
be
president, I would not
followed.
vote for you. I'm sorry, man. You are frightening me right now.
See what happens.
People responsible for launching
Anarchy.
nuclear weapons to do so.
Anarchy 2016.
And that's why 10 people who have had that awesome responsibility have come out and in an unprecedented way said they would not trust Donald Trump with the nuclear codes or to have his finger on the nuclear button.
I have 200 generals and admirals, 21 endorsing me, 21
Also, I will defeat
Congressional
ISIS.
Medal of Honor recipients. As far as Japan and other countries, we are being ripped off by everybody in the world. We're defending other countries. We are spending a fortune doing it. They have the bargain of the century. All I said is we have to renegotiate these agreements because our country cannot afford to defend Saudi Arabia, Japan, Germany, South Korea, and many other places. We cannot continue to afford. She took that as saying nuclear weapons. Look, she's been proven to be a liar on so many different ways. This is just another lie.
Well, I'm just quoting you when
There's
you were
no
asked
quote.
about
You're not going to find a quote from me.
nuclear competition in Asia. You said, go ahead and enjoy yourselves, folks. That kind
And defend
of language,
yourselves.
that, well,
And
the
defend
United
yourselves. I didn't say
States has
nuclear.
kept
And
the
defend
peace.
yourself.
The United States has kept the peace through our alliances. Donald wants to tear up our alliances. I think it makes the world safer, and frankly, it makes the United States safer. I would work with our allies in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, and elsewhere. That's the only way we're going to win.
No, we are going to move on to the next topic.
Colonization
which is
of the moon.
economy, and I hope we handled that as well as we did immigration.
That's 2 questions, right?
You also have very different ideas about how to get the economy growing faster. Secretary Clinton, in your plan, government plays a big role. You see more government spending, more entitlements, more tax credits, more tax penalties.
Big government.
Mr. Trump, you want to get government out with lower taxes and less
Get the
regulation.
fuck out, government.
Drill down into this a
Fuck
little
you,
bit more,
government,
but
you're
in
drunk.
this
Go
overview,
home.
please explain to me why you believe that your plan will create more jobs and growth for this country and your opponent's plan will not. In this round, you go first, Secretary Clinton.
Well, I think when the middle class thrives, America thrives. And so my plan is based on growing the economy, giving middle class families many more opportunities. I want us to have the biggest jobs program since World War II, jobs in infrastructure and advanced manufacturing. I think we can compete with high wage countries, and I believe we should. New jobs and clean energy, not only to fight climate change, which is a serious problem, but to create new opportunities.
Do you think they're going to talk
and new
about climate
businesses.
change? Do you think
I
that's
want
going to
us
be
to
one of
do
the
more
topics?
for small
It's
business.
a
That's
fake.
where 2/3 of the new jobs are going to come from. I want us to raise the national minimum wage
Whoa.
because people who live in poverty should not.
I wanna earn
who
it.
Work full time should not still be in poverty, and I sure do want to make sure women get equal pay for the work we do.
Boo.
I feel strongly that we have to have an education system that starts with preschool and goes through college.
Fuck
That's
that.
why I want more technical
School
education
sucks.
in high schools and in
Drop out of
community
school.
colleges, real apprenticeships to prepare young people for the jobs of the future. I want to make college debt-free, and for families making less than $125,000,
You're gonna spoil them.
you will
People are
not
gonna get
get
so
a
spoiled.
tuition bill from a public college or university if the plan that I worked on with Bernie Sanders is enacted.
Well, Bernie Sanders
And we're
supporters
gonna
vote for me.
work hard to make sure that it is, because we are going to go where the money is. Most of the gains in the last years since the Great Recession have gone to the very
The
top.
Great Recession.
So we are going to have the wealthy pay their fair share. We're going to have corporations make
What
a
is he
contribution
squinting?
greater than they are now
It's just
to
his
our
normal.
country.
It's just his resting
That
face.
is a plan
Why?
that has been analyzed by independent
Fine.
experts.
Those lights are
which
probably
said
bright.
that it could
Yeah.
produce 10 million new jobs. By contrast, Donald's plan has been analyzed to conclude it might lose 3.5 million jobs. Why? Because his whole plan
That's why Hillary wears
is to
the
cut
eyeshadow.
taxes, to give the biggest
It helps
tax
with the light.
breaks ever to the wealthy and to corporations, adding $20
When's the
trillion
last time she shed
to
her
our
skin?
debt, and
I
causing
think she
the
molted
kind
before
of
the
dislocation
campaign
that
started.
we have seen before,
So she's
because
due.
it truly will be trickle-down
Yeah.
economics on steroids.
So she's
So
just
the
gonna-
plan
you
I
can
have,
tell, like,
I
if
think
you
will
look at, like,
actually
she's
produce
peeling.
greater
She's peeling.
opportunities. The plan he has will cost us jobs and possibly lead to another Great Recession.
Secretary, thank you. Mr. Trump, why
The Great Recession
will
Part
your
2.
plan create more
The
jobs
trumpeting.
and growth?
Better than Red Dead
Secretary Clinton?
Redemption
Well,
too.
first of all, before I start on my plan,
Red Dead
her plan
Recession.
is going to raise taxes and even double your taxes. Her tax
That's a much better
plan
name.
is a disaster. and she can say all she wants about college tuition. And I'm a big proponent. We're going to do a lot of things for college tuition, but the rest of the public's going to be paying for it. We will have a massive tax increase under Hillary Clinton's plan. But I'd like to start off where we left, because when I said Japan,
oh my God,
Germany,
this is,
and I'm not to single them out, but South Korea, these are very rich, powerful countries. Saudi Arabia, nothing but money. We protect Saudi Arabia. Why aren't they paying? She immediately, when she heard this, I questioned it. And I questioned NATO. Why aren't the NATO questioned? Why aren't they paying? Because they weren't paying. Since I did this was a year ago, all of a sudden they're paying. And I've been given a lot of credit for it. All of a sudden they're starting to pay up. They have to pay up. We're protecting people. They have to pay up. And I'm a big fan of NATO.
You'll pay up.
Pay up.
Probably
She comes
just
out
like
and
the
said,
global mob
we
boss.
love our allies. We think our allies are great. Well, it's
We went over there and we
awfully
broke
hard
their
to
legs.
get them to pay up when you have somebody saying, we think
Gotta
how
pay
great
up.
they are. We have to tell Japan in a very nice way. We have to tell Germany. All
how are
these
the comments
countries,
doing?
South Korea.
Some
we
Two Big
have
Guy
to
says,
say,
it's not over yet,
they have to help
folks.
us out.
I want the
We have,
Russians also don't think
during
about the
his
facts that I did
regime,
bad
during
things, please,
President
Hillary.
Obama's regime, we've doubled our national debt. We're up to $20 trillion. So my
That was a
plan,
good one.
we're going to renegotiate
That was a
trade.
good
We're
number.
gonna have a lot of
Trillion
free
with a
trade. We're gonna
T.
have free trade, more free
It's a
trade than
big
we have
number.
right now.
What do you think the
We
biggest
have
number he's
horrible
going to say
deals.
tonight is?
Our jobs are
That
being
might be
taken
it.
out by
Yeah, I
the
think
You think
Yeah.
that was a pretty big number?
I wonder how much, like,
our jobs are being
I always
sucked
wonder,
out of
like,
our
if, like,
economy. You look at all of the
if we
places
had like
that
a
I just left.
donation
You go
for
to
like the national
Pennsylvania, you go
debts
to Ohio,
and all
you
the
go to
greatest
Florida, you go to
billionaires and
any of
everybody
them,
put in
you
like
go
half of
upstate
their
New York.
salary.
Our jobs have
Debt,
fled
like,
to Mexico
annihilated.
and other places.
No
We're
one's
bringing
gonna
our
do
jobs
that.
back.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
gonna
if they don't
renegotiate
believe in their
NAFTA.
country. You
And if
got
I
to
can't
spread
make a great
patriotism,
deal,
man.
Then we're going to
No.
terminate NAFTA and we're going to create new deals. We're going to have trade. But
Trade.
we're going to terminate it. We're going to
terminate
make
trade.
a great trade deal. And if we can't,
then make a
we're
great
gonna
trade
do it-
deal.
We're going to go a separate way. Because it
We're
has
gonna
been a
go to the
disaster.
moon. We're gonna get
We're gonna
resources
cut
from the
taxes
moon.
massively. We're going to cut
Yo,
business
that's
taxes
actually a
The
thing,
moon
though.
pipeline?
Yo, there's a lot of helium on the moon.
$2.5 trillion
Oh, shit.
that's
And we're
offshore
running out on
back into
Earth,
the
so-
country.
Perfect.
We are
Yeah.
going to start the engine rolling again because right now our country is dying at 1% GDP.
Well, let me translate that if I can, Chris, because
You
the
can't.
fact is he's
Oh!
going to advocate
Zing.
for the largest tax cuts we've ever seen, 3
Ugh.
times more than the tax cuts under the Bush administration. I have said repeatedly throughout this campaign, I will not raise taxes on anyone making $250,000 or less. I also will not add a penny to the debt. I have costed out what I'm going to do. He will, through his massive tax cuts, add $20 trillion to the debt. Well, he mentioned the debt. We know
He'll
how to
add
debt
$20
control
trillion.
the debt.
Double
My
the debt
husband
again.
was
Oh my
president.
God.
40
Went
trillion.
from a
It's the biggest
$300
number. He likes
billion
big
deficit
numbers.
to a
We're gonna double
$200 billion
down on the
surplus,
debt.
and we were actually on the path.
Why don't we
to
just
eliminating
conquer
the national
China?
debt.
Then we don't
When
have to pay back the
President Obama
debt.
came into
Whoa,
office, he inherited
that's
the worst
And then we
economic
own the
disaster
means of
since the Great
production.
Depression.
Yeah.
He has cut
I mean,
the
we have way more
deficit
nukes,
by
though.
2/3.
We're not using
yes,
them.
one of the ways you
See a
go
problem.
after the debt, one of the ways you create jobs is by investing in people. So I do have investments in new jobs, investments in education, skill training, and the opportunities for people to get ahead and stay ahead.
Yeah.
That's the kind of approach
Secretary.
that will work. Cutting taxes on the wealthy, we've tried that.
Secretary.
It has not worked the way that
Mom.
it has been.
Mom.
Clinton, I want to pursue your plan.
Secretary.
Because in many ways, it is similar to the Obama stimulus plan in 2009.
That totally worked.
Which has led to the slowest GDP growth since
Like Trump's
1949.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah.
Correct.
Thank you, sir. You told me in July
that
when we
face.
spoke that the problem is that President Obama didn't get to do enough in what he was trying to do with this.
Yo,
stimulus.
Coney.
So is your
Oh,
plan
Coney's here? What
basically
up, Coney?
even more of the Obama stimulus?
Well, it's a combination, Chris. And let me say that when you inherit the level of economic catastrophe that President Obama inherited.
Is it George Bush's
it
fault? Oh, there he
was
goes,
a real
adjusting the
touch and
mic.
go
Might have missed one.
situation. I was in the
I think it's
Senate
11
before
or
I became
12.
Secretary
Alright,
of
just to
State.
be
I've
safe.
never seen people as physically distraught as the Bush administration team was because of what was happening to the economy. I personally believe that the steps that
I love when people
President
talk about
Obama
the
took
economy like it's a
saved the
giant like
economy.
living in the
He doesn't
hillside.
get the credit he deserves for taking some
not.
very hard positions. But it was a terrible recession. So now we've
And we
dug
only made it
ourselves
worse.
out of it. We're standing, but we're not yet running. So what I am proposing is that we invest from the middle out and the ground up, not the top down. That is not going to work. That's why what I have put forward doesn't add a penny to the debt, but it is the kind of approach that will enable more people to take those new jobs, higher paying jobs.
Wrong.
We're beginning to see some increase in incomes, and we certainly have had a long string of increasing jobs. We've got to do more to get the whole economy
Gets a
moving,
straw.
and that's what I believe
It's
I
like a
will be
loopy
able to
straw.
do.
Silly
Mr.
straw.
Trump, even conservative economists who have looked at your plan say that the numbers don't add up, that your idea, and you've talked about 25 million jobs created, 4%
over a 10-year period
growth, is unrealistic. And they
length of my
say, you
presidency.
talk a lot about
Does he
growing
just
the
have like a
energy
list of
industry. They say
shit
with
on each
oil
candidate?
prices, as low
Like
as
on a
they
piece
are,
of
that's
paper?
Doesn't fuck around,
unrealistic
dude.
as
Yeah.
well. Your response.
So I just left some high representatives of India. They're growing at 8%. China is growing at 7%, and that for them is a catastrophically low number. We are growing. Our last report came out, and it's right around the 1% level, and I think it's going down. Last week, as you know, at the end of last week,
Probably going
they
down.
came out with an anemic jobs report.
Anemic.
A terrible jobs
It's a
report.
big
In fact,
word.
I said, is that the last jobs report
smell a big
before the
number
election?
coming.
Because if it is, I should win easily. It was so bad. The report was so bad. Look, our country is stagnant. We've lost our jobs. We've lost our businesses. We're not making things anymore,
We're not
relatively
winning.
speaking. Our product is pouring in
We don't
from
win
China,
anymore.
pouring in from Vietnam, pouring in from all over the world.
I want a number.
I've visited so many communities. This has been such an incredible education for me, Chris. I've gotten to know so many. I've developed so many friends over the last year,
People like me now.
and they cry
My
when they
friends.
see what's happened. I passed factories that were thriving 20, 25 years ago, and because of the bill that her husband signed and she blessed 100%, it is just horrible what's happened to these people in these communities. Now, she can say that her husband did well, but boy, did they suffer as
Nice save.
NAFTA
Thanks.
kicked in, because it didn't really kick in very much, but it kicked in after they left.
They're
Boy,
really
did
good
they
at
suffer.
answering questions.
That was one of the
Yeah,
worst
right?
things
Like, if
that's
someone just
ever
asked me
been
this
signed by our
question,
country.
I would just
Now
be
she
able to go
wants
on for
sign
maybe like 30
Trans-Pacific
seconds.
Partnership, and she wants it. She lied when she said she didn't call it the gold standard in one of the debates. She totally lied. She did call it the gold standard, and they actually fact-checked, and they said I was right. I was so
I
honored.
want to give you a chance to briefly speak to that, and then I want to pivot to 1/6
And that
of the
will be as
economy,
bad as
which
NAFTA.
is Obamacare. But go ahead.
Well,
briefly.
First, let me say, number one, when I saw the final agreement for TPP, I said I was against it. It didn't meet my tests. I've had the same tests. Does it
Flop.
create jobs, raise incomes, and
This is like a
further our
rerun.
national security? I'm
Like, I wish
against
they
it.
wouldn't
I'll
repeat
be
stuff from the
against
other
it after the
debates, you
election.
know?
I'll be against it when I'm president. There's only one of us on this stage who's actually shipped jobs to Mexico, because that's Donald. He's shipped jobs to 12 countries, including Mexico. But he mentioned China. And, you know, one of the biggest problems we have with China is the illegal dumping of steel and aluminum into our markets.
Oh, we can
I have
use that.
fought against that as a senator. I stood up against it as Secretary of State. Donald has bought Chinese steel and aluminum. In fact, the Trump hotel right here in Las Vegas was made with Chinese steel. So he goes around
Ew.
with crocodile tears about how terrible it is, but he has given jobs to Chinese steel workers, not American steel workers.
Trump?
That's the kind of
Well, let me
approach
just say-
that
let me
is
just
just
say.
not going to work.
It
We're going to
just-
pull the country together. We're going to have trade agreements that we enforce. That's why I'm going to have a trade prosecutor for the first time in history, and we're going to enforce
a
those
nice title.
agreements. And we're going
Trade
to
prosecutor?
look for businesses
I wanna
to
be the
help
trade
us by
prosecutor. Yeah, how do
buying
we apply
American
for those jobs?
products.
Yeah.
I ask a simple question. She's been doing this for 30 years. Why the hell didn't you do it over the last 15, 20 years? You
know,
were
I
very
voted-
much involved, excuse me. Michael. You were very much involved in every aspect of this country. Very much. And you do have experience. I'd say the one thing you have over me is experience, but it's bad experience, because what you've done has turned out badly. For 30 years, you've been in a position to help. And if you say that I use steel or I use something else, I make it impossible for me to do that. I wouldn't mind. The problem is you talk, but you don't get anything done, Hillary. You don't. Just like when you ran the State Department, $6 billion. was
Oh,
missing.
that
How do
was
you
a
miss
good
$6
one.
billion? You ran the State Department. $6 billion
Ooh.
was either stolen.
Like, when he
they don't
says
know.
billion, it's like,
gone.
stolen.
$6 billion. If you become president, this country is going to be in some mess. Believe me.
Well,
Hillary's
first of
a
all, what you
mess.
just said about the State Department is not only untrue, it's been debunked numerous times. But I think it's really an important issue. He raised the 30 years of experience. So let me just talk briefly about that. You know, back in the 1970s, I worked for the Children's Defense Fund, and I was taking on discrimination against African American kids in schools. He was getting sued by the Justice Department for racial discrimination in his apartment buildings.
How did we get to this?
In the 1980s, I was working to reform the schools in Arkansas.
She hasn't brought up the Trump accusers.
He was borrowing $14 million from his father to start his businesses.
Oh, come on, that's going to stop her.
In the 1990s, I went to Beijing, and I said women's rights are human rights. He insulted a former Miss Universe, Alicia Machado, called her an eating machine. And on the day when I was in the Situation Room, monitoring the raid that brought Osama bin Laden to justice, he was hosting the Celebrity Apprentice. So I'm happy to compare my 30 years of experience, what I've done for this country, trying to help in every way I could.
Ted Cruz's line was way better. He was like, well, I was fighting for blah, 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 and said, what was Trump doing? He was firing Dennis Rodman in Celebrity Apprentice. I miss Ted Cruz. He always
that just means Ted Cruz watched the Celebrity Apprentice.
What was I doing? Watching Celebrity Apprentice.
Started with a $1 million loan. I agree with that. It's a $1 million loan, but I built a phenomenal company.
It's the best.
We could run our
best
country
bankrupt
the way I've
casino
run my company. We
on
would
the
have
East Coast.
a country that you would be so proud of. You would even be proud
Donald.
of. And frankly,
no.
When you look at her real record, take a look at Syria, take a look at the migration, take a look at Libya, take a look at Iraq. She gave us ISIS because her and Obama created this huge vacuum. And a small group came out of that huge vacuum because we should have never been in Iraq. But once we were there, we should have never got out the way they wanted to get out. She gave us ISIS as sure as you are sitting there. And what happened?
You know what this kind of reminds me of? You ever play that game where like you go to a random Wikipedia page and you see how many clicks you can get until you get to Hitler? It's like, okay, start with the economy and then get to ISIS.
That's such an easy game.
In a few moments, but the next segment is fitness to be president of the United States. Mr. Trump, at the last debate, you said your talk about grabbing women was just that.
Here it comes.
The pussy.
Never actually done
by the pussy.
By the, you say, pussy.
By the quote,
come forward and
fuck
said that you either groped them or kissed them without their consent.
Nice.
Why would so many different women from so many different circumstances over so many different years, why would they all in this last
That's the answer to this one.
Make
locker room.
Oh, I know. The media.
And since this is a question for both of you, Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump says what your husband did and that you defended was even worse. Mr. Trump, you go first.
I have sexual assault questions prepared for both of you.
Debunked. Those people, I don't know those people. I have a feeling how they came. I believe it was her campaign that did it. Just like if you look at what came out today on the clips, where I was wondering what happened with my rally in Chicago and other rallies where we had such violence. She's the one in Obama that caused the violence. They hired people, they paid them $1,500, and they're on tape saying, be violent, cause fights, do bad things. I would say
do bad things, do bad things.
Totally false. I have to say that. And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything. I didn't know any of these women. I didn't see these women. These women, the woman on the plane, the woman, I think they want either fame or her campaign did it. And I think it's her campaign. Because what I saw...
Have you seen those violence at the protests? I've actually seen Obama, like...
actually, like, throw a brick!
and start violence. And I'll tell you what, in particular in Chicago,
Trump's platform. Hillary's platform. I'm not Trump. Look how shit Trump is. Trump's platform. I'm not Hillary. Look how shit Hillary is.
Pretty much.
I believe, Chris, that she got these people to step forward. If it wasn't, they get their 10 minutes
She got
of
me
fame.
to touch them.
But they were all totally, it was all fiction. It was lies and it was fiction.
Well,
fiction.
At the last debate, we heard Donald talking about what he did to women. And after that, a number of women have come forward saying that's exactly what he did to them. Now, what was his response? Well, he held a number of big rallies where he said that he could not possibly have done those things to those women because they were not attractive enough for them to be assaulted.
I did not say that.
In fact, he went on to say...
Her 2 minutes, sir, her 2 minutes.
But did not say that.
It's her 2 minutes.
He
But
went on to
not.
say,
Did not say that.
look at her. I don't think so. About another woman, he said, that wouldn't be my first choice. He attacked the woman reporter writing the story, called her disgusting, as he has called a number of women during this campaign. You know, Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity,
Debunk
their
that.
self-worth, and
No
I
one
don't think
respects women as
there
much
is
as
a woman
Trump.
anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like.
I'm calling it.
So we now know
Oh,
what Donald thinks and
what
what he
happened?
says and how he
Choked.
acts toward women. That's who Donald is. I think it's really up to all of us to demonstrate who we are and who our country is,
R.
and to stand up and
Who our country are.
be very clear about what we expect from our next president, how we want to bring our country together, where we don't want to have the kind of pitting of people one against the other, where instead we celebrate our diversity, we lift people
I like
up,
how he adjusted his
and
mic
we
12 times and
make
it's
our
like
country
still like
even
crooked.
greater. America
Maybe
is
it's a
great
bad
because
angle.
America is
This is
good.
big. There's a lot. 2 minutes.
It really
It's the
is
longest 2 minutes.
up to all of
Yeah.
us to
This
make
election's
that
so
true
rigged.
now and in
Topic,
the future, and
fitness to be
particularly for our
president.
children and
I
our
go to the
grandchildren.
gym every week.
Mr. Trump,
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody.
That was a good one.
Nobody has more respect.
please, everybody.
And
Yeah,
frankly, those stories have been largely debunked. And I really want to just talk about something slightly different. She mentions this, which is all fiction, all fictionalized.
Not true.
Probably or possibly started by her and her very sleazy campaign.
So
But I will
it's so
tell
sleazy.
you, what isn't fictionalized are her emails, where she destroyed
Yes!
33,000 emails criminally, after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. What happened to the FBI? I don't know.
A bunch of
We have
jerk-ass
a great
news.
general, four-star general.
Andrew Jackson was the best
today.
president.
You read it in all the papers.
He's pretty up there. I think
Potentially
that's
served
Murray
5
Tardy and
years
Kathy and
in
I.
jail for lying to the FBI. One lie. She's lied hundreds of times to the people, to Congress, and to the FBI.
To God.
He's going to probably go to jail. This is a 4-star general. And she gets away with it, and she can run for the presidency of the United States. That's really what you should be talking about, not fiction, where somebody wants fame or where they come out of her.
I think what it was is they kind of
campaign.
just
Secretary.
got it all in the
Well,
first 2 debates.
Every time
They ran out of questions.
Donald is pushed
This
on
isn't the
something
question.
which is
That's the
obviously
problem.
uncomfortable, like what these women are saying. He
so
immediately
somber.
goes to
The slow knife.
denying responsibility. And it's not just about women. He never apologizes or says he's sorry for anything.
Because he never
So
did
we
it.
know what he has
He
said.
doesn't do
and
anything
what he's done to
wrong.
women.
You dumb
But he
bee.
also went after a disabled reporter, mocked and mimicked him on
Wrong.
national television. He went after Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the parents of a
How come
young
he never
man
says like
who
right?
died serving our country,
fun
a
of
Gold
Ken
Star
Bone.
family because of their
I like when he said
religion.
the guy who died would
He
have been
went
alive
after
under
John
his
McCain
administration.
and
And then
Christopher
Clinton went
Moore
like,
said he prefers
pretty
people
funny.
who aren't captured. He went after
Kennedy's
a
also
federal
based.
judge born
Wrong.
in Indiana, but who Donald said couldn't be trusted.
You wrote
to try
Roggen.
fraud and racketeering case against Trump University because his parents were Mexican. So it's not one thing. This is a pattern of divisiveness, of a very dark and in many ways dangerous vision of our country, where he incites violence, where he applauds people who are pushing and pulling and punching at his rallies.
I
That
wonder
is
how long
not
the debate
who
would be
America
if you
is.
cut out
And
everything not
I
related
hope
to the
that
questions.
as we move
5
in the
minutes.
last weeks of this campaign, more and more people will understand what's at stake in this election. It really does come down to what kind of country we are going to have.
So sad when she talks about violence at my rallies, and she caused the violence.
During the last
The other things are false, but honestly, I'd love to talk about getting rid of ISIS, and I'd love to talk about other things.
Okay.
But those other charges, as she knows, are
This
full.
is like making
in
me
this bucket
uncomfortable.
about fitness to be president, there's been a lot of developments over the last 10 days since the last debate. I'd like to ask you about them. These are questions that the American people have. Secretary Clinton, during your 2009 Senate confirmation hearing, you promised to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest with your dealing with the Clinton Foundation while you were Secretary of State. But emails show that donors got special access to you. Those seeking grants for Haiti relief were considered separately from non-donors, and some of those donors got government contracts, taxpayer money. Can you really say that you kept your pledge to that Senate committee, and why isn't what happened and what
Anders
went
Breivik,
on
is it too late for me to be Trump's
between
VP?
you and the Clinton Foundation? Why isn't
Yes.
what Mr. Trump calls paid to play?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Well,
the Pepe Frog is
everything I
already
did
the
as
VP.
Secretary of State was in furtherance of
No, it's Race Bannon.
our country's interests and our values. The State Department has said that. I think that's been proven. But I am happy. In fact, I'm thrilled to
So
talk
it's not
about the
been
Clinton
debunked.
Foundation because it is a world-renowned charity, and I am so proud of the work that it does. You know, I could talk for the rest
It does
of the
more
debate.
good than
I know
bad.
I don't have
Therefore,
the time
it's
to do
okay.
that. But just briefly, the Clinton Foundation made it possible for 11 million people around the world with HIV/AIDS to afford treatment,
Yep.
and that's about half of
It did
all
so
people
much
in
good.
the world
They're all
who are
dead.
getting treatment. In partnership with the American
I'm gonna try to
Health
guess the
Association,
responses now.
we have made
I think I've
environments
gotten
in
to the point
schools
where I could be a
healthier for
politician.
children, including healthy.
I could be one of these
Respectfully,
politicians.
This is an open discussion.
Well, it is an open discussion.
I understand, and the specific
you-
question went to pay for play. Do you want to
Well,
talk
but
about
there
that?
is no,
Well, I think, look,
but there
I
is
think
no
that it's
evidence.
been
But
very
there
well
is
studied.
there is a lot of
It's
evidence
been very
around
well
the
studied.
very good work
And it's a
and the
criminal
high
enterprise,
rankings that
and
the
so many
donors
people-
Criminal organization, the
It's a
Clinton Foundation.
criminal enterprise.
Was behind the Harambe assassination.
Qatar, all of these countries. You talk about women and women's rights. So these are people that push gays off business, off buildings. These are people that kill
Push
women
gays
and
off
treat
of
women
buildings?
horribly.
It's
And
fucked
yet
up.
you
That is fucked up.
So
I didn't know
I'd
the
like to
Clinton
ask you
Foundation
right
pushed
now,
gays
why
off
don't
of
you give back
buildings.
the money that you've taken from certain countries that treat certain groups of people so horribly. Why don't you give back the money? I think it would be a great gesture.
Well-
because she takes a tremendous amount of money, and you take a look at the people of
Tremendous.
Haiti. I was at a little Haiti the other day in
13?
Florida. And I
No,
want
it's
to tell
got to
you,
be like
they
26
hate
by now.
because what's
good,
happened in
26.
Haiti with the Clinton Foundation is a disgrace. And you know it, and they know it, and everybody knows it.
Obama
Well,
knows it.
very quickly, we at the Clinton Foundation spend 90% of all the money that is donated on behalf of programs of people around the world and in our own country. I'm very proud of that. We have the highest rating from the watchdogs that
Why is she not
follow
shit-talking the Trump
foundations, And I'd
Foundation?
be happy
Yeah.
to compare what we do.
That's
with
like
the
the
Trump
easiest
Foundation,
target
which
in, like, the whole
took money
campaign.
from other people and
Oh,
bought a
okay.
6-foot portrait of Donald. I mean, who does that? It just was astonishing.
Wait, how much did that cost?
But when it comes to
6-foot
Haiti,
portrait
Haiti is the
of Donald?
poorest
He'll have to
country
sell
in
it
our
after this
hemisphere.
election.
The earthquake and the hurricanes, it has devastated
The
Haiti.
faces
Bill and
Trump
I have
makes
been
are
involved
goats.
in trying to help Haiti for many years.
Goats.
The Clinton
Greatest
Foundation
of all
raised
time.
$30
Oh,
million
yeah.
to help Haiti after the catastrophic earthquake and all of the terrible problems the people there had. We've done things to help small businesses,
So many things
agriculture, and
being
so
done.
much else. And we're going to keep working to help Haiti because it's an important part of the American.
They don't want you to
experience.
help them anymore.
I want
I'd
to.
like to mention one thing.
I
Trump
can't.
Foundation, small foundation. People contribute. I contribute. The money goes 100%. 100% goes to different charities, including a lot of military. I don't get anything. I don't buy boats. I don't buy planes. What happens is the money goes out.
Wasn't some of the money used to settle your lawsuit, sir?
No, it was. We put up the American flag, and that's it. They put up the American flag. We fought for the right in Palm Beach to put up the American flag.
There was a penalty that was imposed by Palm Beach County,
There
and the
was,
money came
there
from
was,
your
and
foundation
by the way, the money,
instead of Mar-a-Lago or yourself,
went
sir.
to Fisher House, where they build houses. The money that you're talking about went to Fisher House, where they build houses for veterans and disabled.
I want to get into one
But of
last.
course, there's no way we can know whether any of that is true because he hasn't released his tax returns. He is the first candidate ever to run for president in the last 40 plus years who has not released his tax returns. So everything he says about charity or anything
Jerks
else,
was
we can't
tapping on the
prove
window
it.
behind
can
you.
look at our tax
Do I gotta
returns.
climb
We've got
down the
them all
chimney?
up there.
Let me
But
in.
What is
Hey,
really
Kath, how you
troubling,
feeling?
is
What's
that
up,
we
Anders?
learned
Gonna bring
in
you
the
back to you.
last debate he has not paid a penny in federal income tax. And
He already
we were
told me what
talking
game
about
it was.
immigrants a few
Some two-bit
minutes ago,
guy,
Chris.
and I'm excited.
You know, half of
What?
all immigrants,
What are you
undocumented
talking about?
immigrants in our country, actually pay federal income tax. So we have undocumented immigrants in America who are paying more federal income tax
Shut
than
up.
a billionaire. I find
So
that
let me just tell you very simply.
No, I didn't.
We're
He's trying to trick you into
entitled
saying
because
he's
of
trying
the
to
laws that people
write it in the
like us
comments,
to
so don't
take
tell
massive
him.
amounts of depreciation and other
I was
changes
like,
that we
what?
do.
How did you
And
get
all of her
access to
donors,
a...
just
Dude, you
about
told
all
me
of them,
last
took
week.
Sure.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Soros, George Soros, took hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me just explain. All of her donors, most of her donors, have done the same thing as I did.
Okay.
And you know what you should have done?
Folks, we heard
And
this.
you know, Hillary, what you should have done?
Stop!
You should have changed
Stop!
the
Shut
law
up!
when
Stop
you
the
were a
debate,
United States senator.
folks!
We heard this.
Because your donors and your special interests are doing the same thing as I do, except even more so.
Well,
you
you know-
should have changed the law, but you won't change the law because you take in so much money. I mean, I sat in my apartment today on a very beautiful hotel.
She's so
down the
happy.
street, known as
Made with Chinese steel.
But I will tell you, I sat there. I sat
got
there
him.
watching ad after ad after ad, false ad, all paid for by your friends on Wall Street that gave so much money because they know you're going to protect them. And frankly, you should have changed the
Mr.
laws.
Trump-
If you don't like what I did, you should have changed the laws.
Mr. Trump, I want to ask you about one last question in this topic. You have been warning at rallies recently that this election is rigged and that Hillary Clinton
It is rigged.
is in the
Yes,
process
it is.
of trying to steal it from you. Your running mate, Governor Pence, pledged on Sunday that he and you, his words, will absolutely accept the result of this election. Today, your daughter Ivanka said the same thing. I want to ask you here on the stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing. The New York Times actually wrote an article about it that they don't even care. It's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th, but I think they're going to see through it.
But sir, there's
If
a...
you look, excuse me, Chris, if you look at your voter rolls, you will see millions of people that are registered to vote. Millions. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from Pew Report and other places.
All
Millions
hail
of people
Golden Dawn. What's
that
up,
are
Golden Dawn
registered to
Greece?
vote that shouldn't be
Golden Dawn Greece,
registered to
guys.
vote.
Oh, Golden
So,
Dawn Greece is here
Let
finally.
me just give you
You
one
jerks
other
catch
thing.
some
So I
rays
talk
today?
about the corrupt
Some sun
media.
rays?
I
I
talk
got some
about the
sun
millions
rays.
of people. Tell
And
you
some
one
other
other thing.
rays.
I
She
got
shouldn't be allowed to run.
Ray Bans.
It's
No, I don't.
She's guilty of a very, very serious crime. She
Murder.
should not be allowed to run.
She killed
and
Harambe.
Just in that respect, I say it's rigged because she should never.
rigged.
Tris, she should never have
Unless
been
I
allowed
win.
to run for the presidency based on what she did with emails and so many other things.
But, sir, there is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner. Not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner, and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to
What
commit
I'm
to that
saying
principle?
is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's
Fucking rigged.
horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the
FBI is
Wisconsin
rigged.
The
primary.
FBI is in the
He said
pocket of the Clinton
Republican
Foundation,
primary
dude.
was rigged against him.
It's a fucking
Then
global
Trump
conspiracy. The
University
Clinton
gets
Foundation's
sued
like an
for fraud
octopus.
and
It's got hands all over the
He claims the
the
court
judicial
system
branch.
and the federal
like he has
judge is
8
rigged
heads.
against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged again.
Should have gotten it.
This is how Donald thinks.
That was good.
And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Okay.
No, that is not the way our democracy
Most
works.
honest
We've
thing
been
she's
around
ever
for
said.
240 years. We've had free and
Hope the
fair
Emmy is
elections.
the next question.
We've accepted
Like,
the
do you think
outcomes
Donald
when
Trump
we may
deserved
not
the
have
Emmy?
liked them.
Absolutely.
And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a
This is the
general
dumbest
election.
election ever.
You know, President
Oh,
Obama
yeah,
said
by
the
far.
other day, when you're whining before the
Hold
game
on,
is
folks.
even
Hold on, folks.
finished, it just shows you're not up to doing the job. And let's be clear about what he is saying and what that means. He is denigrating,
It was the
he's
la-le-lu-le-lo.
talking down our democracy. And I, for
La-le-lu-le-lo.
one, am appalled that somebody who is the nominee of one of our two major parties would take that kind of position.
I think what the FBI did and what the Department of Justice did, including meeting with her husband, the Attorney General, in the back
Hitler
of an
was
airplane
right.
on the
Donuts
tarmac
are delicious.
in Arizona. I think it's
That was from
disgraceful.
National
I think it's
Socialist.
a disgrace. I think we've never had
Makes
a
sense.
How you
situation.
going? How you
Hold on,
going
folks.
with National Socialist?
This doesn't do any good for anyone. Let's please continue the debate and let's move on to the subject
guy's
of
such a-
foreign
such a bummer.
hotspots.
Chris Wallace is the best.
The Iraqi offensive to take
I wanna
back
be the
Mosul has
debate guy.
begun.
Yeah.
How do you get that
If
gig?
they are successful
I don't know,
in
but they're
pushing
definitely giving
ISIS
us
If you're,
out of
you
that
could
city and
send a
out of
Facebook
all of
question
Iraq,
on the
the question then
DMC,
becomes, what
the
happens the day
Democratic
after?
primaries.
And that's something that whichever of you ends
I
up,
remember a bunch of
whoever of you ends
YouTubers
up as
ask really
president is
dumb,
going to
big
have to
questions.
Will we
And Bernie
deploy
Sanders was like, this
US
question's
troops
dumb and
into
vague, but
that
I'm going to
vacuum
answer it
to
in a way
make sure
that
that
everybody
ISIS
expects me to.
doesn't come back or isn't replaced by something even worse? Secretary Clinton,
Foreign
you go first in this
hotspots.
segment. You have 2
So
minutes.
this is it. This is my biggest topic.
Well, I am encouraged that there is an effort led by the Iraqi army, supported by Kurdish forces, and also given the help and advice from the
You know who
number
else
of
likes
special
dogs?
forces
Hitler.
and other Americans
Yep.
on the
This
ground.
is some
But
two big
I
guy.
will
That is
not
a
support
correlation.
putting
Hitler did
American
love dogs.
soldiers into Iraq as an occupying force. I don't think that is in our interest, and I don't
was
think
Hitler's
that would
dog's
be
name?
smart to do.
Hitler?
In fact,
No,
Chris, I
he-
think that would be a big
Hitler
red flag
Clinton?
waving for ISIS to reconstitute itself. The goal here is to take back Mosul. It's going to be a hard fight. I've got
Oh, yeah,
no,
they're fighting for Mosul right now.
illusions about that.
Right
and
now,
then
like while we're
continue
talking?
to
Yeah.
press
Whoa.
into Syria to begin to take back and move on Raqqa, which is the ISIS headquarters. I am hopeful that the hard work that
Long D.
American military advisors
Yep,
have done will pay
that's
off.
what it was
and that
after the
we will
ban.
see,
Oh, Hitler's dog. Oh.
a
Yeah.
real-
I was
a
like, why'd
really
you just write that?
successful military operation. But we know we've got lots of work to
Education.
do. Syria will remain a hotbed of terrorism as long as the civil war, aided and abetted by the Iranians and the Russians, continue. So I have said, look, we need to keep our eye on ISIS. That's why I want to have an intelligence surge that protects us here at home, why we have to go after them from the air, on the ground, online.
Foreign
why we have to
hotspots?
make
I can
sure
barely
here
find
at home we
Nintendo
don't let terrorists
hotspots.
buy weapons. You're too dangerous to fly, you're too dangerous
What will you
to
do
buy
about
a gun.
Nintendo hotspots?
And I'm going to
29.
continue
Pokemon Sun and
to,
Moon
push for a
is
no-fly
rigged.
zone and safe havens
He
within
loses.
Syria.
First of all, I have
not
the most
only to help
Pokemon of
protect
anyone.
The Syrians and prevent
Nobody has
the
better
constant
Pokemon than I do.
outflow of refugees, but to frankly gain some leverage on both
have a tremendous
the
amount of
Syrian
Pokemon.
government and the Russians, so that perhaps we can have the kind
Wait,
of
both
serious
Trump and Hillary are blonde?
negotiation
What could this
necessary
mean?
to bring the conflict to an end.
Lalo.
They're the
and
same
go forward
person.
on a political
That could be
I've
true.
been saying that for a while.
Mr. Trump, same question. If
They're
we
clones.
are able to push ISIS out of Mosul and out of Iraq, would you be willing to put U.S. troops in there to
I'd go
prevent
myself
their
and
return
personally
or something
defeat
else?
Let me
ISIS
tell
with my
you,
bare hands.
Mosul's so sad. We had Mosul. But when she left, when she took everybody out, we lost Mosul. Now we're fighting again to get Mosul. The problem with Mosul and what they
That's like
wanted to
6
do
times
is they wanted
he
to
said
get the
that.
leaders of ISIS who they felt were in Mosul.
Mosul.
About 3 months ago, I started reading that they want to get the leaders and they're going to attack Mosul. Whatever happened to the element of surprise? Okay? We announced we're going after Mosul. I've been reading about going after Mosul now for about, how long is it, Hillary? 3 months?
No, some two
These
big guy.
people
They're
have all
both
left.
asexual kind of
all
blobs.
left.
They neither of
The
them have
element of
gender.
surprise. Douglas MacArthur, George Patton, spinning in their graves when they see the stupidity of
Did I say
our
this on the
country.
stream that
So we're now
if I was
fighting for
Obama,
muscle that we
what
had.
I'd do if
All she had to do is stay
Hillary
there.
Clinton
Now we're
won
going
in
in
like
again.
the lame duck
But you know
session
who
right
the big
before I
winner
concede the
in Mosul's
presidency,
gonna be after we eventually
I'd
get it? And the only reason they did it
declare
was
myself a
because
woman
she's running
and thus
for the
become the
office
first
of
female
president.
president of the United
They wanna
States.
They want to look
It's amazing.
good. He violated the red line in the sand, and he made so many mistakes, made all mistakes. That's why we have the Great Migration. But
The
she
Great
wanted to look
Migration.
good for the election.
Love how you just put
So
the
they're
great in
going
front of stuff.
But who's going to get
The Great
Mosul?
Election.
We'll take Mosul
Is that the
eventually.
selection?
Great,
By the way,
yeah, the great
if you
foreign
look at what's
hotspots.
happening, much tougher than they thought.
The great final
much
presidential
tougher,
debate.
much more dangerous. Going to be more deaths than
Great.
they thought. But the leaders that we wanted to get are all gone because they're smart. They say, "What do we need this for?" So Mosul is going to be a wonderful thing,
Where's
and
Teddy
Iran should
Roosevelt?
write us a letter of thank you,
Right.
just like the really stupid, the stupidest deal of all time, a deal that's going to give Iran absolutely nuclear weapons. Iran should write us yet another
Give Iran
letter
nuclear weapons deal.
saying thank you very much. Because Iran, as I said many years ago, Iran is taking over Iraq, something they've wanted to do forever, but we've made it so easy for them. So we're now going to take Mosul, and you know who's going to be the beneficiary? Iran. Boy, are they making, I mean, they are outsmarting. Look, you're not there. You might be involved in that decision, but you were there when you took everybody out of Mosul and out of Iraq. You shouldn't have been in Iraq, but you did vote for it. You shouldn't have been in Iraq, but once you were in Iraq, you should have never left the way. The point is,
You're
the
2
big
minutes
winner
left.
is going to be Iran.
Well, you know,
That was, like,
once
record
again,
time.
Donald
Okay.
is implying that he didn't
For
support
your
the
2 minutes are
invasion
up,
of Iraq.
and then
I
stop
said it
talking.
was a
Howard Stern,
mistake.
Howard
I said
Stern
that
interview.
years ago. He has consistently denied what is
Howard Stern.
a very clear fact that
Wrong.
before the invasion he supported it.
Wrong.
And you know, I just want everybody to go Google it. Google Donald Trump Iraq, and you will
Don't
see
do
the
it.
dozens of sources which verify that he was for the invasion of Iraq.
Wrong.
And you can actually hear the audio
He's
of
on
him
fire.
saying that. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because he has not told the truth about that position. I guess he believes it makes him look better now. to
Xavier
contrast
Williams,
with
I'm
me
going for
because,
Hillary.
I did vote for it. But what's really
Rigged.
important here
This is
to
obviously a
understand all
bot
the
sent by Hillary to
Mosul
invade our
is
live
a
stream.
Sunni city.
We're on to you,
Mosul is
Xavier
on the
Williams,
border
or
of
should I
Sounds
say
like someone from the
and
Hillary
yes,
campaign.
we do
Yeah,
need
or
to
should I
go
say
after Baghdadi
intern
and,
43.
just like we went after Bin Laden. While you
So
were
Trump
doing
is
Celebrity
Butch- so
Apprentice,
Trump
and we brought him
is-
to justice.
wait, so is Trump
We need
Butch
to go
Hillary, or is
after
Hillary
the
drag
leadership,
Trump?
But we need to get rid of
the
them,
question
get
of a
rid of their
lifetime.
fighters. They're estimated
Oh, wait,
several
have I told
thousand
you-
fighters in Mosul. They've
No,
been
what's the
digging
update?
underground. They've
No,
been
I couldn't
there
get
to
the fucking
defend.
emulation
It's
on my
gonna be
computer, and
tough
I'm pissed
fighting,
off.
But I
Unless
think
I
we
was
can
saying
take
last week.
Mosul and
No,
then
it's not my
move
computer,
on
I swear.
into Syria and take back Raqqa. This is what we have to do. I'm just amazed
we're at 9
that he
viewers.
seems to think that
Wow.
the Iraqi
Zero prime time.
government
Stop
and
us.
our
15
allies
minutes
and
left.
everybody else
Brought to you by Call of
launched,
Duty.
the attack
Pre-order.
on Mosul to
Pre-order
help me in
Infinite
this
Warfare.
election. But that's how Donald
Snow's in
thinks.
it.
You know, he always
Let me-
is looking for some
Chris, we don't
conspiracy.
gain
He
anything.
has all
We
the
don't
reasons
win
to
anymore.
think
I
over
want to
it.
win.
America.
ISIS wins,
We don't-
Russia wins, Iran wins. Now I want some of the win.
Yeah, Xavier, we're very both
He
we
said
accept
that
jokes for both candidates.
Yes, so
And
you're going
more
for
if you have.
unfit, and he proves it
They're both
every
morons,
time
but at
he
least
talks.
one would
That's
cause
unfair.
less damage
WikiLeaks
as
just actually
as
came out.
President
John
is Trump.
Podesta said some
As president
horrible
is
things
Trump.
about you.
Butcher
that
And
sentence.
boy, was he right. He said some beauties. And you know, Bernie Sanders, he
Oh,
said
Bernie
you have
Sanders.
bad judgment. You do. And if
voting
you
for
think
Bernie.
that going into
I'm still
Mosul,
voting for Putin.
after we
Yeah,
let
I was
the
gonna
world
say, I
know
think
we're going
Putin's
in,
really-
and all of the people that we really
He's really
wanted,
got
the
some.
leaders,
I heard from a
they're
lot
all
of people
gone.
that are
If
running
you
for
think
president that
was
he's
good,
a very
then you
smart
do.
guy.
Now, John Podesta said you have terrible instincts.
Jim
Bernie
Hausman,
Sanders
you
said
jerks
have
are an
bad
embarrassment from the
judgment.
1990s.
Jim Hausman is here.
YouTube's dirty little secret. You can't be allowed to live.
For president, and
It's
he
Jim
has
Hausman's
said,
here again.
as he has
Big mistake.
campaigned for me around the country, you are the most dangerous person to run for president in the modern history of America. I think he's right.
Let's turn to Aleppo.
What is Aleppo?
Mr. Trump, in the last debate, you were
Jim
both
Hausman,
asked about
You're that ninja.
the situation in the Syrian city of Aleppo, and I want to follow up on that because you said several
I wanna
things
play the
in
next
that
Metal Gear.
debate were not true, sir. You said
We're
that
not
Aleppo
playing the next
has
Metal Gear until we get
basically
our Patreon
fallen.
to
In fact,
$1,000.
In fact, there are,
It's a catastrophe.
Phil
It
for
is a
president,
catastrophe
says
because
Tony.
there are
No, I
Have
don't.
you
I
seen
couldn't
it?
do
Have you
that.
seen it?
But I'll
Sir,
accept
Have you
your
seen
vote.
what's happened?
Sir,
Have you
to
seen
Aleppo?
Aleppo?
Finish my question.
Okay, so it hasn't fallen. Take a look at it.
Well, there are 250,000 people still living there and being slaughtered.
That's right.
You
And-
also
and
said,
they are being slaughtered
Yes.
because of bad decisions.
if I may just finish here.
She slaughtered
And
them.
you also
She killed
said
them.
The
that
Clinton
ISIS,
campaign
that
is sending
Syria
out
and
people to
Russia
kill
are
people in
busy
Aleppo.
fighting ISIS. In fact, they have been the ones who've been bombing and shelling eastern Aleppo, and they just announced a humanitarian pause, in effect admitting that they have been bombing and shelling Aleppo. Would you like to clear that up, sir?
Well, Aleppo is a disaster. It's a
It sucks.
humanitarian nightmare, but it has fallen from from any standpoint. I mean, what do you need, a signed document? Take a look at Aleppo. It is so sad when you see what's happened. And a lot of this is because of Hillary Clinton, because what's
Hillary
happened
Clinton
is
destroyed
by
Aleppo
fighting Assad,
single-handedly.
who turned out to be a lot tougher than she thought.
Trump is
And
so
now she's going
rude.
to say, "Oh, he loves Assad."
No, Trump's just he's
She's
just honest.
He's just much
He
tougher.
speaks like
and
we do
much
at the kitchen
smarter
table.
than her and Obama.
I feel like
And everyone
he
thought
has
he
like
was
these
God
certain
2 years
answers to
ago, 3 years
questions
ago.
that like
He lied-
they're
he
kind of just
aligned
like
with Russia.
Mad
He
Libs.
now also aligned with
Like
Villain work.
Noun
We
is
made
so
very
bad,
powerful. We gave
and
them
it's Hillary
$150
Clinton's fault.
billion back. We give them $1.7 billion in cash.
Oh, that was a good
I
one.
mean, cash, bundles of cash as big as this stage.
The
We
recent-
are
We gave
giving
them $1.7
number
billion.
to noun
Now,
every time
they have
period.
lied. He has aligned with
The recent
Russia.
dev build of
and with Iran. They don't want
PCSX2
ISIS,
makes much easier
but they have
emulation of
other
Ace Combat
things
5 and
because
0 now.
we're backing.
But how will we support the
recent
developers
development
as
of PC
Valdo?
We don't know who
As
the
I've
rebels
supported
are.
them already. Don't worry.
We're
No, I
giving
haven't.
them
I've bought Ace Combat
lots
before,
of
but don't
money,
worry.
lots of
And also,
everything. We don't
am
know
cheap.
who the rebels are. And when and
Who
if,
are the rebels?
That's not going to happen because
They
you have
could-
Russia.
maybe
you
they're part of
have
the Clinton
Iran now.
Foundation.
But if they ever did overthrow Assad, you might end up with as bad as Assad is, and he's a bad guy. But you may very well
He's a
end
bad
up
guy.
with worse than Assad.
I just realized that Assad
If she did
was
nothing,
the bad guy
we'd
in
be
Call of
much
Duty
better
4.
shape. And this is what's
Was
caused
named
the
after
Great
him.
Migration,
And I didn't know
where
who the
she's
guy
taken
was
in
until like a couple years
tens of
ago.
thousands of Syrian
After Trump?
No, after
refugees
Bashir
who
al-Assad.
probably,
Because the
in
guy,
many
bad guy
cases,
in
not
Modern Warfare
probably,
4
who
was
are
Khaled
definitely, in
al-Assad.
many cases, ISIS aligned, and we now
was like,
have
oh.
them in our country.
And I was like,
and
oh
wait
man,
till
that
you
guy's
see
the
what-
same
this
name
is
as the
gonna
guy
be
from
the
Call of
great
Duty.
Trojan horse. And wait till you see what happens
he's full
in
on
the
edge
coming
right
years.
now. Look at
Lots
him.
of
He's
luck,
gonna turn
Hillary.
orange. He's
Thanks
gonna
a
turn
lot for doing a
fluorescent
great
Yeah,
orange.
job.
he's glowing.
Secretary Clinton, you have talked about, and in the last debate and again today, that you would impose a no-fly zone to try to protect the people of Aleppo and to stop the killing there. President Obama has refused to do that because he fears it's going to draw us closer or deeper into the conflict.
You
And
literally
General
can't
Joseph
support
Dunford,
Project
the
Aces
chairman of the
today,
Joint
except
Chiefs of
maybe
Staff
by
says,
buying
"You
fuel in
impose a
Ace
no-fly
Combat
zone,
Infinity.
chances
So
are you're
we'll buy
gonna
we'll buy
war
$60 worth of
with
fuel in Ace Combat
Syria
Infinity
and Russia.
for every game
so
we
the
play.
question I have is, if you impose a no-fly zone, first of all, how do you respond to their concerns? Secondly, if you impose a no-fly zone and a Russian plane violates that, does President Clinton shoot that plane down?
Kill
Well,
him.
Chris, first of all,
Kill them.
I think a no-fly zone could save lives and could hasten the end of the conflict.
It's a bad
I'm
idea.
well aware of the really
It's stupid because it's not going to
legitimate
work.
concerns that you would
Russia's
express
going to be
from
like,
both the
fuck
president
you, we're going
and
to
the
fly in the
general.
no-fly zone. And they're going to be like,
This
we're going to
would
shoot
not
you
be
down.
done
It's like, no, you're not. And he's like,
just
yeah, we're
on
not.
the first
That's
day.
exactly
This
what's
would
going to
take
happen.
A lot of negotiation. It would also
Dude, Aleppo
take
is
making it
rigged.
clear to the Russians and the Syrians that our purpose here was to provide safe zones on the ground. We've had millions of people leave Syria, and those millions of people inside Syria who've been dislocated. So I think we could strike a deal and make it very clear to the Russians and the Syrians that this was something that we believed was in the best interests of the people on the ground in Syria. It would help us with our fight against ISIS. But I want to respond to what Donald said about refugees. He's made these claims repeatedly. I am not
Grab him by
going
the
to let
pussy.
anyone into this country who
Gonna
is
grab
not
ISIS by the
vetted, who we
pussy.
do not have confidence in, but I am not going to slam the door on women and children. That picture of that little 4-year-old boy in Aleppo with
Jesus.
the blood
He was
coming
an
down his
ISIS-
face
he was
while
an
he sat
ISIS
in an ambulance is haunting.
plant.
And so we are
Clearly.
going to do
Was he a
very
toddler with a
careful,
gun?
thorough
No.
vetting.
Oh,
That
okay.
does
the
not
problem.
solve
Yeah,
our
that
internal
was the problem, Matt.
challenges with ISIS and our need
Now
to
ISIS
stop
is like, all right,
radicalization,
train
to
children,
work with
train
American
women.
Muslim communities who are on the front lines to identify and prevent attacks. In fact, the killer of the dozens of people at the nightclub in Orlando, the Pulse nightclub,
whose dad
was born
is
in
supporting
Queens,
you, whose
the same
father's supporting
place
you. Trump's going to
Donald
bring
was
that
born.
up.
So let's
Guarantee
be
it.
clear about what the threat is and how we are best going to be able to meet it.
First of
and
all,
yes, some of that threat
the father
emanates
of
from
that
over
killer
in Syria
is
and
supporting
Iraq,
Hillary Clinton.
And we've got to keep fighting, and I will
No,
defeat
excuse me.
ISIS. And some of it is we have to up our game and be much smarter here
Folks,
at
I
home.
want
The
to get
shooter
into our
was
final
part of the
segment.
Clinton
But I just have
Foundation.
to, it's so ridiculous what she will defeat ISIS. We should have never let ISIS happen in the first place. And right now they're in 32 countries.
Okay.
You should have never. Wait 1 second. They had a ceasefire 3 weeks ago. A ceasefire, United States, Russia, Syria. And during the ceasefire, Russia took over vast swatches of land. And then they said, we don't want the ceasefire anymore. We are
Vast
so outplayed
swatches.
on missiles, on ceasefires. They are outplayed. Now, she wasn't there. I assume she had nothing to do with it. But our country is so outplayed by Putin and Assad and by the way, and by Iran. Nobody can believe how stupid our leadership is.
Mr. Trump, Secretary Clinton, no, we need to move on to our final
refugees,
segment, and that
says
is
Jim
the
Houseman.
national debt, which has not been discussed until tonight. Our
the
national
national
debt
debt,
as
that's
a share
right, 5
of
minutes
the
left.
economy, our GDP, is now 77%. That's the highest since just after World War II. But the nonpartisan Committee for a
Just let me
Responsible
mention,
Federal Budget
besides
says
4,
Secretary
5,
Clinton, under
and
your
0 on
plan,
PS2, Ace Combat 6 on
debt would
360 is
rise
also
to
great. We can
86%
play
of
that one.
GDP over the next 10
I
years.
play any
Mr.
Ace
Trump,
Combat.
under your
Ace Combat
plan,
6.
they say it would rise
It
to
has the small selections of playing on missions,
105%
but
of
6 also has
GDP
the
over the
biggest
next
missions
10
in
years.
scale, best graphics, and best gameplay in the
Question is,
series.
why are both of you ignoring this problem? Mr. Trump, you go first.
Well, I say they're wrong because I'm going to create tremendous jobs, and we're bringing
Tremendous
GDP from
jobs.
really 1%, which is
Can't
what
wait
it
to
is
that
now, and if she got in,
You know, I
it'd be
can't wait to
less
trade in my
than
old job
zero.
for a
tremendous job. Yeah, I gotta give me a
From
tremendous job.
1% up to 4%, and I actually think we can go higher than 4%. I think you can go to 5 or 6%.
I say
And if we do,
100%. Wow.
you don't have to bother asking your question because we have a tremendous machine. We will have created a tremendous economic machine once again.
So
To do
tremendous.
that, we're taking back jobs. We're not going to let our
So what do you do
companies
at your
be raided
tremendous
by
job?
other countries.
Oh, I
We lose all our
work
jobs.
with
We don't
tremendous
make our
machines.
products anymore. It's very sad. But I'm
I
gonna
clean
create
tremendous
a-
toilets.
The kind of a country that we
God.
were from the standpoint
Serve
of
tremendous
industry. We used to
meals.
be there. We've given it up. We've become very, very sloppy. We've had people that are political hacks making the biggest deals in the world, bigger than companies. You take these big companies, these trade deals are far bigger than these companies. And yet we don't use our great leaders, many of whom back me and many of whom back Hillary, I must say. But we
Well-
don't use those people. Those are the people, these are the greatest negotiators in the world.
those
We are the
people?
greatest business people in the world. We have to use them to
We
negotiate.
need
our
to
trade
commission
deals.
Mark
We use
Cuban
political hacks.
to deal with
We use
Iran.
people that get the position because
imagine?
they made a campaign contribution.
Mark Cuban negotiates
And they're
deal with
dealing
Iran.
China
Just play
and
basketball
people
game.
that are very much smarter than they are. So we have to use our great people.
All right, we got 3
But
minutes, Trump.
with that being said, we will create an economic machine, the likes of which we haven't seen in many decades. And people, Chris, will again go back to work and they'll make a lot of money and we'll have companies that will grow and expand and start from new.
And candy will rain
Secretary
from the sky.
Well, first, when I
In a way,
hear
6 is the
Donald
MGS4
talk
of the
like
series,
that and know
0
that
is
his
the Snake
slogan
Eater,
is Make
5 is Sons of
America Great
Liberty,
Again, I
and
wonder
4
what
is
he thought
MGS1, so we should
America
play it in that order.
was great.
Oh.
And before he
Well, first,
rushes and says, you know, before you and President Obama were there, I think it's important to recognize that he has been criticizing our government for decades. You know,
Yes.
back in 1987,
here we go.
he took out a $100,000 ad in the New York Times during the time when President Reagan was president and basically said exactly what he just said now, that we were the laughing stock of the world. He was criticizing President Reagan. This is the way Donald thinks about himself, puts himself into, you know,
I don't like how they
middle
don't talk
and
to like
says,
each other.
I
you
alone
know?
can fix it, as he
Like
said on the
she
convention
says like, oh, I
stage.
don't. This
Yeah,
is the
that's why the
Donald Trump.
debate
If you
format
look
should
at
be
the
like the
debt, which
podiums
is
like
the
face
issue
each
you
other.
asked
Yeah,
about,
yeah, I
They just look
agree.
into each
I'd like
other's
them to
eyes.
talk shit at
for
each other and like point at
everything
each
I'm
other.
proposing. I do not add a penny to the national debt.
Not one
I
penny.
take that very seriously because I do think
only
it's
said that
one
about
of the
19
issues
times.
we've got to come to
That's
grips
19
with.
pennies she
so
won't be
when I
adding.
talk
Wow.
about how we're
Yeah.
going to pay for education, how we're going to invest in infrastructure, how we're going to get the cost of prescription drugs down, and a lot of the other issues that people talk to me about all the time. I've made it very clear, we are going where the money is. We are going
This is the last
to
debate. That's
ask
sad.
the wealthy
I know,
and
right? This is probably the
corporations
last
to take
time
share.
we're going to
And there is
see
no
Donald
evidence
Trump
whatsoever
interjecting, say
that
wrong.
that will slow down
Like, he's
or
not.
diminish
That's not
our
true.
growth.
When
In
he,
fact, I think just
If
the
he becomes
opposite.
president,
We'll
he gets
have
what he
what
every
the
election.
economists call middle-out
Oh,
growth.
well, yeah, in
We've
4
got
years.
to get back to rebuilding the middle class, the families of America. That's where growth will come from. That's why I want to invest in you. I want to invest
they're
in
both
your
dead by
family.
then.
And
Wanna
I
invest
think
in
that's the
you.
smartest way to grow the economy, to make the economy fairer. And we just have a big disagreement about this. It may be because of our experiences. You know, he started off with his dad as a millionaire. I started off with my dad as a small businessman.
We've heard
And
this before.
I think it's, you know,
We've
it's a
heard this
difference
before.
that affects how we see the world
Blah,
and
blah,
what
blah,
we
blah.
want to do with the economy.
Time.
When will you
Thank you,
just be
Hillary. Could
live
I
again?
just respond?
Kind of
Because I
randomly.
did
I might do
disagree
Mafia
with
3
Ronald
tonight. I
Reagan
gotta
very
finish that game.
strongly on trade. I disagreed with him. We should have been much.
I want to live stream
tougher on trade
Castlevania
even then.
3.
I've been waiting for
Why
years.
that game?
Really good.
Does it right. And frankly, now we're going to do it right.
All right. The one last area I want to get into with you in this debate is the fact that the biggest driver
In this last
of
0
our
minutes that we
debt
have.
is entitlements, which is 60% of all federal spending. Now, the Committee for Federal Responsible Federal Budget
You can
has
tell
looked
he
at
doesn't
both
like
of your
that.
plans, and they say
It's like
neither of you
60%.
has a serious plan that is going to solve the fact that Medicare is going to run out of money in the 2020s, Social Security is going to run out of money in the 2030s, and at that time,
It's gonna suck for
recipients
us.
are going to take
Yep.
huge cuts in their benefits. So,
Keep
in
money on
effect,
my
the final
mattress.
question I want
I'm
to
gonna
ask
buy
you in
gold.
this
I'm gonna buy a lot of
regard
gold.
is,
That's a good
let me start
idea.
with you, Mr.
Yeah.
Trump. Would President Trump make a deal to save Medicare and Social Security that included both tax increases and benefit cuts, in effect, a grand bargain on entitlements?
I'm cutting taxes. We're going to grow the economy. It's going to grow at a record rate.
But that's not going to help on
No,
entitlements.
it's going to totally help you. And one thing we have to do, repeal and replace the disaster known as Obamacare.
Obamacare.
It's destroying our country. It's destroying
And
our
replace it with
businesses,
Trump
our
care.
small business,
Trump
and our
care.
big businesses. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare. You take a look at the kind of numbers that will cost us in
Yes,
the year
give me one.
17. It is a disaster. If we don't repeal and replace,
I think he
now,
has
it's
like these
probably
little
gonna die
dice
of its own
under
weight.
like his podium,
But
and one of them is just the
Obamacare has to
numbers like
go.
1 through 10,
It's-
and the other one is
the
like
premiums are
billion,
going up
trillion,
60,
million.
70, 80%. Next year, they're going to go up over 100%. And I'm really glad that the premiums have started. At least the people see what's happening, because she wants to keep Obamacare and she wants to make it even worse. And it can't get any worse.
Obamacare
Bad healthcare
replaced with
at
Trump
the
doesn't
most
care.
expensive place and replace Obamacare.
And Secretary Clinton, same question, because at this point, Social Security and Medicare are going to run out. The trust
We're gonna
funds
replace
are
it with
going to run
Clinton
out of
care.
money.
The Clinton Foundation
Will you,
care.
as president,
Harambe care.
will you consider a grand
Pepe
bargain,
care.
a deal
Bill-
that includes
Bill
both tax
care.
increases and benefit cuts
Pussy
to try
care.
to save both programs?
Well, Chris, I am on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social
Such a nasty
Security
woman.
Trust Fund by making sure
Fuck her.
that we have sufficient
And he won the debate
resources. And that will
with
come
that
from
one comment.
either
It was
raising the
teetering
cap
left and
and/or
right. It was
finding other
close, but
ways
then
to get
Trump
more
comes in
money
with the
into it.
kill,
I will not cut
revealing
benefits.
Clinton
I want
as the
to
nastiest
enhance
woman to ever run
benefits
for
for
president.
low-income workers and for
By
women
default,
who
since she's
have been
technically the first
disadvantaged by the current Social Security system.
president.
But what Donald is proposing with these massive tax cuts will result in a $20 trillion additional national debt. That will have dire consequences for Social Security and Medicare. And I'll say something about the Affordable Care Act, which he wants to repeal. The Affordable Care Act extended the solvency of the Medicare Trust Fund. So if he repeals it, our Medicare problem gets worse. What we need to do is go
Your
after
husband disagrees
the
with you.
long-term health care drivers. We've got to get
Bill.
costs down, increase value, emphasize wellness.
Come on,
I have a
Trump.
plan for doing that, and I think that we will be
Yeah,
able
Bill
to get
flops to
entitlement
Trump's side.
spending under control by with
I'm
more
sorry,
resources
honey.
and smarter decisions.
This is the final time, probably to both of your delight, that you're going to be on the stage together in this campaign. I would like to end it on a positive note. You had not agreed to
Can we mess up each other's hair?
closing statements, but it seems to me in a funny way that might make it more interesting because you haven't prepared closing statements. So I'd like you to take it. We're going to put a clock up, a minute. As the final question in the final debate to tell the American people.
We're gonna put a clock up for no fucking reason.
To be the next president.
30 seconds left.
Another new mini segment. Secretary Clinton, it's your turn to go first.
Well, I would like to say to everyone watching tonight that I'm reaching out to all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, because we need everybody to help make our country what it should be.
Great again.
To grow the economy, to make it fairer, to make it work for everyone.
He's going to whip that line out.
Your skills, your commitment,
that's another thing that's
your
going to
energy,
stop.
your ambition.
Make America great again.
You know, I've been
stop hearing
privileged
that.
to see the presidency up close. And I know the awesome responsibility of protecting our country and the incredible opportunity of working to try to make life better for all of you. I have made the cause of children and families really my life's work. That's what my mission will be in the presidency. I will stand up for families against powerful interests, against corporations. I will do everything that I can to make sure that you have good jobs with rising incomes, that your kids have good educations from preschool through college. I hope you will give me a chance to serve as your president.
Secretary Clinton, thank you. Mr. Trump?
She's raising the money from the people she wants to control. It doesn't work that way. But when I started this campaign, I started it very strongly. It's called Make America Great Again. We're going to make America great. We have a depleted military. It has to be helped, has to be fixed. We have the greatest people on earth in our military.
Did we determine when that time period was
illegal immigrants,
for Make America Great Again?
I'm
pretty sure it was
we take care of our
1776.
That can't happen. Our policemen and women
That's when we kicked
are
the most ass.
disrespected. We need law and order, but we need justice too. Our inner cities are a disaster. You get shot walking to the store. They have no education.
Sure, I went to the store the other day and some guy just fucking shot me.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's the worst. I was like,
that
God damn it.
happens.
Go to the hospital again and use this broken Obamacare.
But they get the vote and then they come back, they say, we'll see you in 4 years. We are going to make America strong again, and we are going to make America great again, and it has to start now. We cannot take 4 more years of Barack Obama, and that's what you get when you get her.
Thank you both. Secretary Clinton, hold on just a moment, folks. Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump, I want to thank you both for participating in all 3 of these debates. That brings to an end this year's debate sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. We want to thank the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and its students
These were
for
funny
having
debates.
us.
One way of putting it.
The decision is up to you. While millions have already voted, Election Day, November 8th, is just 20 days away. One thing everyone here can agree on, we hope you will go vote. It is one of the honors and obligations of living in this great country.
Who do you think they're going to vote for?
Thank you, and go.
Gary Johnson.
What is that? Oh, thank you.
Wrong.
Fuck you.
All right, let's get the Insta poll. Who won?
They go ahead and shake hands with each other. It looks like she's walking over to.
Shit, she took the initiative. Nice.
Chris Wallace shaking his
Thank you for
hand.
rigging
Let's
this
see if
election,
they
my
actually
favorite
go
Chris
ahead
Wallace.
and shake hands right
She does
now.
look like she looks like Julianne Moore in the Hunger Games, like her dictator.
I
really like her shot in the heart.
Her waddle. The country right now, but Jake Tapper, clearly the headline Donald Trump saying
you fuck me. If you fuck me again, I swear to God, I will kill you.
One of the most stunning things I've ever heard.
Say goodnight to your kids.
And while I think it's fair to say that he had some decent moments in there.
Breaking news. I love the breaking news on CNN after. Breaking news. Trump is tying issue. Breaking news. Ivanka just sent out another tweet.
That he has what it takes, that he has the fitness to be president. And to
when will
say
people learn
that
democracy doesn't work?
Suggest that he might not accept the results of the election that we're about to hold in fewer than 3 weeks was staggering. And I don't think it helped him when it comes to showing the American people
you're in the pocket,
that he does
Jake Tapper.
have that temperament. The one thing I was looking for in this debate is,
you know who I wish I would have heard from more this election season is
all the college-educated whites that are going to Hillary Clinton, all the women that are
Chelsea?
going to Hillary Clinton, all the minorities.
She's a robot, you know.
She's a robot?
She's an android. Built by the Clinton Foundation.
Yes, he had some
from donors in Iran and Syria.
Criticisms of her.
Designed to be the perfect
President Obama's policies. But to suggest that he is
daughter
not
figure
going
for
to
a presidential
necessarily
candidate.
accept the
Where did
results of the
steel come from?
nomination.
China.
Disastrous.
Yeah, Chinese
it was
steel.
truly extraordinary. I've never heard anything like that. Dana Bash, his vice president.
This wasn't as the second one was definitely like the nail biter.
Yeah.
That was the one where he threatened to throw her in jail after he was elected president.
He refused to say that.
I'm
He said, I
gonna
want to keep
give
you in
this
suspense.
my same treatment for the
Not
Lord of the
only
Rings.
did his
The
running
second one was
mate
the
say
best.
that, he said that to us
And
in
then
that
the first
very
and third
debate
were
hall
very good,
about an
but the
hour
second one
before
was
Donald
definitely.
Trump took the
You thought the
stage.
second
So it
Lord of the-
really goes
Twin
to show
Towers?
that
Is that what it's called?
Donald
Yeah,
Trump,
dude.
no matter
Two
how much
Towers.
he
The Two Towers.
prepared,
Yeah.
we do
Towers.
understand
Twin
he prepared
Towers.
very
The
well,
Twin
and for the
Towers,
most part,
9/11.
As Jake said,
Yo,
I agree
Helm's
with you,
Deep.
Jake.
I like
that
watch
for the
that when
most
I
part
can't go to
during this
sleep at
debate,
night.
that
Just that
came
one
through,
that
that
like
he was a
one
much
battle.
more disciplined Donald Trump, and I think
Yeah, he was
at
super
the end of the
disciplined.
day,
Almost,
before that
I was
comment
promised he was gonna go
happened, it
full
looked like it
Steve
was a
Bannon,
wash,
fucking clock her
that she
across
did
the
well,
face,
that
and
he
you know
did
what?
well, that
Damn.
it wasn't really
Missed
clear
opportunity.
if
Missed
anybody
opportunity.
was
He
going to
didn't.
benefit or
It's like I said, I was talking to Joe about this
until
earlier. Like
that
he
moment
can
when was
win
asked something
if he just
so very
eliminates her.
basic, something
It'd be
that
like the end
my
of
understanding is that
Inglorious
he was
Bastards. You know,
certainly
like
prepared
he
for,
sets
and he didn't answer
the
it
auditorium on
in
fire,
affirmative
and then
ways.
it's just a giant
And more
projection screen of him
importantly,
laughing.
She was prepared for it.
And he
She
just
had
and
all
they
of
shoots
her
Hillary in the face with a
opposition
submachine gun.
research ready to go about the times where he
What's up?
called other systems rigged.
Oh, they want you to
Even
watch
the Emmys,
Ace Combat
he didn't
trailers.
win an Emmy. Well,
Wait, hold on.
She clearly was ready for that. John King did either
John
one
King?
of them move the needle tonight?
Yes,
Not
I
in a
think Trump
significant
won.
way. I don't think. If you remember, talk about this where we come in. Hillary Clinton has a significant advantage in our electoral map.
Minutes
Over
away.
300 electoral votes. We have
Yeah.
her 307.
It's way down.
Well,
Donald
you
Trump
know,
in the 170s,
we found
well
out
short of
that,
the 270 you need to win. So you think, okay, 19 days
Trump
left. Did
could
he
have said
the
wrong
biggest
a few more
audience they're going
times,
to
and
get
that would have
before election day? Did he do
secured
anything?
it for him.
We've got our
Move the
first
dial
poll.
in the way he
How do you
needs to
feel
move.
about
He needs
Trump's
to bend steel
performance tonight?
to
Well,
change
I
this
think he was
election.
good at calling her
Right
out
now,
when
we've
Hillary
taken
Clinton was
Utah away
wrong.
from him and Arizona to make
There
it
were
tough
times
states.
when
At the
she
beginning,
said
when he was
things
talking
that
about
sounded
judges,
true,
when he was
but then
talking
Trump
about guns,
pointed
when he was
out that
talking
they were
about
false.
abortion, at the top of the debate, very base-driven to the Republicans.
I thought it
is
was
possible
true, but
he boosted
apparently
support
Donald
among
Trump said
After
it
the
was
Trump fact
But
checked,
to the point Jake and Dan are
I
making,
was
getting emails from Republicans
surprised,
in the key
honestly, to
swing
find out
states,
that
in New Hampshire,
they were
in Ohio,
wrong.
in Florida, in all three states, the reactions are essentially, I'm going to say, oh my God, they were not
Yep.
that
So
polite
here's how it
when Donald
goes.
Trump
He's got to
refused
win
say he would
Florida.
accept the results
He's
of
got to
the
win
election.
Iowa.
They think that
He
a
has
man
to
who
win
had
North
such a good gut
Carolina.
for Republicans
He's
during the
tied in all of them.
primary
If he
does
doesn't
not
win
have a
all
gut
three of
that
those, he
middle America
loses.
wants
And
him
then
to
he
respect
also
the
has to
process.
win
And
one
one
of the
other thing
states
that I
that
thought was
Hillary
a
has
really
come
important
lead in.
moment. Chris
So
Wallace asked
this is
Donald
it.
Trump about the allegations
Can
of sexual
he
assault
pull a
and
Brexit?
sexual,
Can he
attention that was not
can he
warranted.
disenfranchise so many
put a tough
voters?
question to
They
Hillary Clinton
just
about,
can he
says,
make
what your
it
husband, Bill Clinton,
look
has done is
so
even
much
worse.
like a landslide that people won't
Donald
even
Trump
bother?
attacked the women,
That's
that
the
have
strategy,
accused him,
dude. Just make it look so
suggested
hopeless
that, they were
that
liars
nobody
and
will even
put up
vote.
to it by the Clinton campaign.
I don't see
Hillary
any
Clinton
flaws in that system.
gave
It's
a
the best.
very
It
passionate
just fits his
speech
MO.
that was-
I
that
think
was
it's like
speaking
it's the
to
scorched
all
earth.
women. All women know what
Scorched
it's like
earth
to be
strategy.
belittled like this. Completely dodged the question about Bill Clinton. Back to Trump, he's defending himself again. He's not even pointing out
heck
to
yeah.
Hillary Clinton, who gave this very passionate speech with this really uncomfortable asterisk there, which is, how can you say that when these allegations have been made against your husband?
Oh, you got
and
sauce
he
on the
just-
butt.
he just
Awesome,
whiffed it.
but
He just
actually,
completely let it go because he is
that's
so
good hot
focused
sauce.
on defending himself. He
Butt
couldn't even
sauce.
see clearly to then prosecute Hillary Clinton on what I thought was probably her strongest moment.
I also think at that point of the debate, she was
Oh,
under her
gosh.
skin a little bit. The first 45 minutes, he was much more restrained. He was making his conservative points, but
Yeah.
slowly, and she just
Yeah, send that
methodically
shit over
kept coming
Twitter.
back. The loan from your father.
I was
some
gonna
of
type
these
it in
other
there,
things,
realize
and a
that
couple of the
we're-
tough questions
Hey.
from Chris Wallace.
Hey guys,
Also,
thanks for
about
coming
Donald
out.
Trump.
I hope
If
you
we notice
enjoy
in the
Call
past
of Duty
debate,
Black
and
Ops.
even the
We
Republicans
should,
Black
we
Ops
should-
Infinite 3
and we
for
should
the
get a
play
little
for the
prickly about those
Yeah,
things.
the,
for the play box.
Remember
The
points
the debate
make a
DLC.
Another moment I thought that was, I'm sorry, Wolf, just one last point. Another moment
You know what
I
we
thought
should
was so
do?
bad for him came at the
What?
very
We should
end,
release
and maybe
two
people
versions,
didn't
like when we
notice it.
record this, or when
but I
like
think a
we
lot
play
of women
the
probably noticed it.
what's
When
it, like
when
the,
she was
you know,
answering
like
a question,
the
and it was all within the confines of
game
this
we
very
What are you talking
contentious
about?
No.
debate,
And-
and all of a sudden he
Oh,
said,
all right. So we should do this with our
"She's a
Let's Plays.
nasty
Let's
woman. She's
like
a
the funny
nasty
jokes,
woman."
like the
Now,
real
they've been
funny
going
stuff that we
after each
say.
other
We'll
in a
censor
very
that
tough way,
out,
both
and
saying
you got to
that they
pay
were
like
unfit,
a
et cetera.
monthly fee to
But
get
it was a
that.
very personal attack, and I think this debate ultimately is going to hurt him with women voters.
Reinforces a weakness.
Yeah.
A very,
Yeah,
very
we should make
debate.
premium content.
Anderson,
What would our premium content be?
Dana Bash, you got a guest over there.
Metal Gear Solid Peace
That's
Walker.
right. Well, if I have Kellyanne Conway, Mr. Trump's campaign manager, first question
For
I have
premium
to ask you
subscribers
is frankly what we've all been talking about
Oh,
is
God.
Donald Trump saying the opposite of what you and his daughter have said in the past 24 hours.
Yeah, what's wrong with
whether
that?
or
We're in the
not
spin
he will
room in Las
accept
Vegas.
The results of
Do you think they're
this
gonna go party
election.
after this? This is
Are
like
you
the
disappointed
debates are
in-
over.
are you
Yeah, it's over.
disappointed in
This is like their last
I'm not
final.
disappointed in a thing tonight. I thought it was
This is
an
crazy.
amazing
Yeah.
debate, And Donald Trump will accept the results of the election because he's going to win the election. So they'll be easy
Kellyanne
to accept. He won the debate
Conway.
tonight. Amazing performance.
Trump's
Getting
had,
back
this
to
is
all
his
those core
third
issues that
campaign
really
manager, I
catapulted
believe.
his campaign from the beginning down to jobs, trade,
Do you think he can do one
immigration,
more before
the
the?
failed
Yeah.
farm policy.
You
Another
just
scandal.
told me that he will accept the results. Why wouldn't he say that on the debate stage?
Do you remember 2000 when Al Gore contested the election? I mean, when he actually retracted his concession to George W. Bush. He had called him in office.
But that's an extraordinary experience.
Melania's like, come on.
So we have extraordinary
Come on.
experiences, but
Get
you
in the
have to listen
goddamn
to
car.
everything he
Jesus.
said. In fairness, he's
Get
talking about
in
a
the
free
car.
corporate
Get in the
system.
car.
Many Americans
What'd you
don't
say?
like it. He's
Honey?
talking about a system
There's Mike
where
Pence.
No,
people
Mike
feel
Pence
like
can't come with us.
Ray Spannon.
their moneyed cohorts
Listen.
get all the benefits.
Activate the bombs now. Mike, Protocol Zero.
Conspire with them. 96% of the
Oh,
donations.
Trump, you can't do that. You listen to me right now. You get this done.
I just wanted to No, I'm going to ask you another
I got it.
question.
Don't worry about it. Oh, thank you so much, Mike.
What you just said to me
Remember me.
was that he will accept. So what you're telling me is that
You know Mike
on
Pence isn't
election
allowed
night,
on
if
the
he's
bed.
sort of waffling, you as his campaign manager will say, Mr. Trump, no matter what it is, I mean, obviously it won't be a
God.
big deal if he wins.
I miss
but
Ted
if he
Cruz.
doesn't,
Ted
you'll say,
Cruz
"Mr.
was the
Trump,
smartest.
This is what is going to happen. Is you're going to accept these
Ted
results.
Cruz?
Ted Cruz.
I miss Ted
Evidence
Cruz.
of widespread abuse and
I wish
irregularities.
we
Yes, I
could have
would say
seen
that, but I actually
Cruz
have
versus
to say
Hillary.
Congratulations, Mr.
That would have been
President.
so like that would have been exciting.
He also,
It would have been like it
Kellyanne,
literally
he
would have been
also-
House of Cards.
She would have gotten murdered.
Back to you, Anderson.
Oh my God.
All right, Dana, thanks very much.
Well, maybe we'll see it.
who else
Actually, we
comes
could
into
possibly
the
see
spin
that
room, aptly
if she
named
wins,
indeed.
and then Ted Cruz wins next
Gloria, David Axelrod, have you ever
in
heard of
2020.
presidential
That could
candidates
totally
that-
happen.
Watching Kellyanne walk away.
Coney
reminds
says
me
we
of
should
a bad debate
play
I
Barbie's
was
Horse
once
Adventure on the PS2.
And the worst thing
We
in
could do
the
that.
world
That could be
is
some
going
premium
into
content
a
for
I've
us.
played the
spin
game
room
before, and I'm kind of
persuade
already a
people
pro
that
at
the
it.
disaster
So
they just watched was actually
I
a
don't
triumph.
know.
This was
If
a
we did
disaster
PvP,
for
it would
Donald
kinda
Trump.
be
He started
unfair.
off temperamentally. I thought, well, this is,
There's
I was
time
going
yet.
to apologize to Jeffrey because
Oh,
I
God,
was going to
Mike.
say, you
Listen,
can
stop
surprise
watching
us.
this rigged
And I
news.
was
Let's go to
surprised
the-
because
What else is on
temperamentally,
TV?
Let's go to
as
the
debate
unrigged
began,
news.
It looked as if he was going to take a
Uh,
different approach. He did articulate
Unrigged.
starkly conservative positions on guns,
I can't
on
unrig the
immigration,
TV.
on,
Jesus,
unrig.
Cody, where are you?
on
It's
children
4 a.m.
That's
right
not
now.
available.
that will go to his
Why are you
base,
awake?
probably
Why
not
are you
to
awake? Go the
the
fuck to
not to the
sleep.
swing voter, not to the women he needs to
I can't
get.
unrig this
but
election.
he was composed.
Erections.
He wasn't
Erections.
interrupting.
2016
He just pushed his
erection.
buttons. And by the end of the debate, he
It's
just
rigged.
unraveled,
My
but he
look.
wrote the lead.
Your remote's
My
rigged.
remote is rigged. I
I
can't
saw
change
someone
off.
down here fucking with your remote before, and they had a Hillary Clinton shirt on.
Oh my God.
The TV is rigged.
One of the prizes of this country is the peaceful
Jesus.
transition
really
of
do.
It's
power,
4 a.m.
and that
here.
No matter how
They-
hard fought a
Oh,
campaign
encore.
is,
They
at
really
the
are.
end of the campaign,
The highlight reel,
that
best of.
Oh,
loser
highlight reel.
concedes to the winner.
Now that's
Not
what I
saying
call
that you're
debate
necessarily
2016.
the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes
All
to the
the
winner,
wrongs you
and that
love.
the country comes together in part for the good of the country.
Jeb
Are you
is a
saying you're not
mess.
prepared to
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
Can I mess up your...
Oh, what does that say? The living Jesus? In the background behind Anderson Cooper. The living sus.
Mike Pence
Night of the living sus.
assured the nation
Night of the living
no
Jesus.
uncertain terms that they would accept the result of this election.
I need to...
Others went on
bolted.
television,
Excuse
including
myself.
Kellyanne,
Alright.
said they will
Situation.
accept the
Ugh.
verdict of the voters.
Jesus, I just
And
want to at
he
least
did-
get
you know,
the first polls.
Anderson, this is
I want to
core
see
for a
who
lot
won.
of
Chinese
Americans.
batteries. TVs
Say,
are Chinese
what makes
batteries,
America
Russian monitor.
great? This is what makes America great. And the fact that he wasn't willing to say,
It's not great
"I'll
enough.
accept the
It could be
results of
greater.
of this
Why don't you
election,"
understand that,
I thought
people?
That's gonna haunt
Jesus.
him not just through this campaign, but for a
You
long
accept
time.
mediocrity.
Makes it sound like this is some sort
What
of a
time are you in?
game or reality TV show.
No,
I'm off for the next 2 days. I'm gonna
And
sleep.
I think it's
I'm
very
off next
Finish
Friday.
Mafia 3.
I've
Sleep.
never heard any
Buy
candidate
PSVR.
ever
Have you been recording
in a
it? I want to
presidential debate
Yeah,
that
one of my
made
live
so
streams
long,
got
but I don't
muted
think
because
any
of
of us is
music.
old enough to have ever heard it.
Yeah, that's why
To
we
say to
muted.
the American public that
That's okay.
I
I did,
won't
actually, let me see if my other one got
necessarily
muted.
accept
Because there's some
the
pretty
result.
gnarly bullshit
It
that
is
happened in that
stunning
Oh my
game.
god, this is so meta. We should watch our own live streams while we live stream.
Oh, dude, we should react to the new Red Dead trailer. Yeah, we should react to our Let's Plays. Whoa, we're so funny. Oh my god.
December 13th, 2000.
We should react to the new Red Dead trailer. That comes out 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh.
11 a.m.
Well, you've got my blatant live excuse for me not wanting to watch the Red Dead trailer.
Oh, God.
First one was so good.
Oh, you should play the first one.
First one was fantastic.
Red Dead Redemption. Well, the first one was Red Dead Revolver. So
that was not as good, but I will admit that it was a very fun game. But it just,
you didn't even finish it.
We didn't.
We gotta finish it for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Actually, wait,
It goes Red Dead Revolver.
That's real?
Yes, that was the first game. It was an Xbox game, Xbox PS2 game. It was like a spaghetti western third-person shooter. That's it. It wasn't like GTA at all. It was just like levels.
It was more like Quake.
Florida had an automatic recount.
It was super janky.
It was very janky. There was this one battle where I was just standing on a roof, just like using my like weakest pistol to shoot this fat guy like 100 times.
Al Gore won the popular
You should
vote
watch
by
them. They're
half.
very
Sleep and miss the debate, and you guys
This
know.
is about electoral power.
Sleep and miss the debate, and you guys know way, says Coney. You should react to the reactions of your Let's Plays.
Al Gore said yes. And then there were 36
At least let me
Whoa,
show.
remember how happy we were?
At least let me see Phil react to the Zero trailer. All right, we're gonna turn to your react channel then. You're gonna react to the Zero trailer.
All right, I'll watch the Zero trailer.
All right. Welcome back to Dirks React.
Certify these
Watch
winners.
like
That really is like the ultimate like Let's Plays are slightly above React channels in terms of effort.
You are illustrating the problem. You are illustrating
It's a different problem.
Ace Combat.
I'll
Ace Combat
illustrate your
the Belkin
problem.
War.
Alright, let's go.
I'm not so sure whether I'm
What's
going to
that?
accept
Near a
the election
disputed
results
border.
in his third presidential debate.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, I can hear us. Turn your radio off.
Florida was recounting.
Do you want to weigh in on this?
There you
You
go.
know, this is a really sad night. I'm just gonna say it. This is a very sad
This
night
we
for
found
the
Ace's
country.
Phil.
You can't polish this turd. This is.
this Tom
I'm
Cruise?
sorry.
Yeah.
You cannot. Technically, you cannot polish any turd. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be very, very clear about this.
Project Aces, New Blood, and New Battles.
Respected the Constitution, respected the process, respected every voter, went to our Supreme Court, asked for a resolution on his own terms, as did George W. Bush. And when the election results were certified,
Belkin War.
he told his party and his base to stand down and accept this.
Oh,
Even though a lot
God.
of us were very, very upset.
This game looks
What
great.
you just got now
When
was
this come out?
the nominee of a major
2006,
party
what is this?
for the first time in our history, signaling to the American people that he has
Game looks
so
great
little
for
faith in our
2006.
institutions, he has so little faith in our people, he has so little faith in our courts, he has so little faith in the Republican governors,
Solo
the
Wing
Republican
Pixie.
secretaries of state across this country, that he will not stand in front of his own country, in front of his own nation, and say that he respects the process and the outcome. That is an outrage. The appalling lack of patriotism from this man. No,
Strategist. The man who upholds honor. The fallen.
This man to stand there and say that to
The bringer of death.
and Assad more than he
The
has
man who
ever
lived
praised
for battle,
any
or
American
who
president.
battled.
He doesn't
The
talk
reborn
about George
veteran.
Washington. He doesn't talk about
The undying
Ronald
woman.
Reagan.
He's the classist.
Revolutionary, yeah.
This man has demonstrated an appalling lack of patriotism, and you should be ashamed to sit up here
Man,
and
I'm
defend it.
truly perplexed to hear you talk
Whoa.
because you're asking him to accept something that hasn't happened yet. None of us know what is going to happen on Tuesday, November 8th.
Life
and in
names.
fact, I'm going to cite for you J. Christian Adams, who was a voting
This is a
attorney,
PS2
voters
game?
attorney for the Department
is
of
it?
Justice, said that there are as many as 4 million dead people registered to vote right
There's
now.
only one ultimate rule in
voting
war.
fraud out
That's
there.
war never changes.
Survive.
Voting fraud. That's not voting fraud.
Well, 4 million people.
I can't do
dead
that.
people voted
Survive?
in
Yeah.
Me neither.
26. Oh, this
Wow.
is the 360 one, I think.
You're making that up.
No, but they're listed on there.
Did Van Jones and Van Jones and Donald? Okay, they're going after it.
I hope voters will
They
go
just
watch.
died. Nobody's removed
Can you
them
let me
yet.
finish? I know you guys like to scream
God.
over me and not let me get my point out, but let me finish really quickly.
Kayleigh
There's a video
McEnany.
out there. It just came out 2 days ago.
Who's this lady?
Democratic operatives
Kayleigh McEnany.
hired
She's
by
Trump's
Hillary
biggest
Clinton,
supporter.
hired by the DNC, talking about busing people in.
She looks like a Barbie doll.
Under many dead people's
In,
names,
like, a creepy
people
way.
who haven't showed up to vote yet.
Oh, it's
voting them
she's
and
talking about the
taking them to
election being
different
rigged.
polling
Oh.
places in a mass voter fraud operation. There's a video of it. You can see it.
Kelly, in my
It's
state of
Kelly,
verifiable.
Kelly,
It
shut the
came out
fuck
of
up.
In Jeffrey's state of Pennsylvania, we litigated this issue for a full
gonna
year
leave.
because the legislature passed and the governor signed
Well,
into law a
I guess that's
requirement
it.
that
I guess
says
we
you've
should
got
stop
to show
before
a photo
CNN takes our
ID.
channel down.
In a year of litigation,
CNN, you mean
literally not
Black Ops
one
3
single
Infinite
case
Superior?
of in-person
Pre-order
voter
today.
fraud
Thank you
could be
guys for
documented.
watching
It's a total
our jerks, our live stream with our moderators on our news channel, Jerkin
JNN. The Jerk News Network.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
JNN.
Bye.
All right, listen, folks.
says.
Make sure you register to vote, except it's too late now.
Oh yeah. Hopefully you're registered.
All right. Take care.
Goodbye. Of course, I'll accept the outcome, and let's not.
Bye.